After the Jets officially part ways with Aaron Rodgers, the New York Post reports that Rodgers was doing everything he can. He was on his knees and he was pleading to be a New York Jet under any circumstance. Are these rumors true? Who are some underrated options for the New York Jets in 2025 at the quarterback position? We'll break that down and much more, all coming up here on a Saturday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk, joined by our guy Will Parkinson of TOJ Talks and Badlands.
J-E-T-S, Jets, let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer Mr. Rich Cimini, Jets reporter for The Athletic, Mr. Zach Rosenblatt, Hall of Famer, and Jets legend Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Law.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into another edition of NY Flight Jets Talk, Saturday, February 15th, 2025. A lot to get into today. We will be joined by our guy, Will Parkinson, here on the Crow program. But before we do so, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. We greatly appreciate all your support. Here on the show, we're chasing 2,000 subscribers by the start of the NFL draft, less than 400 away, completely free, helps us grow so much, so please like, share, and subscribe. Greatly appreciate it. The paid way to support the show, though, Super Chats memberships, throw the leaderboard on down below. Our membership raffle, every membership or $2.99 Super Chat will get you a raffle ticket. Prize we're giving away this month include a Joe Klecko signed jersey, Mark Gastineau signed jersey, Bill Parcells signed photo, a free item from our merch store, and a channel emoji. You guys are the best. Can't thank you enough for the continued support. Our guy Austrian Jet fan already in here, gifting 5 channel memberships. That's 5 more raffle tickets for you. Appreciate you, my man. Dicker the Kicker, Derek, Ronnie D, it's Snoopy, Daniel DeCheesis. You were all members thanks to our guy Austrian Jet fan here on this Saturday afternoon. But nevertheless, let's bring on our guest for today's show. You know him from TOJ Talks. You know him from Badlands. There's a weekly spot with our guy Jake Asman. It's Will Parkinson here on the show. He's going to be at the Combine in a few weeks. Was down at the Senior Bowl. Will, how you doing?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you. Appreciate having me on.
Of course, yeah, we haven't had you on the show since I think last January was. I had you on my Jets X Factor show over the summer for the 53-man roster reaction. Well, I guess where I'm going to start is this latest report from the New York Post indicating that Aaron Rodgers was doing everything he can to stay with the Jets. He was pleading. Are you buying that report? And under any circumstance, did you want Aaron Rodgers back next season? I know you were in the boat that the Jets were most likely going to move on from him, but let's say he was willing to take a reduced pay. He was willing to pick up a reduced salary, learn a new offensive scheme. Under those circumstances, would you have wanted Aaron Rodgers back? Just overall thoughts on this whole scenario.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been open to Rodgers coming back. I think there was a few stipulations, and some of them I think just were never going to happen. Like him and Garrett had to mend fences, and I don't know that was going to happen. The offense thing, it's hard to tell because we don't know. We're kind of going based off of what the Lions ran, and you'd assume it's a similar type of offense. So does Rodgers fit that? Probably not at this point in his career. I mean, last season, going under center was an adventure last year. So maybe not the best fit. And then lastly, I think the money aspect obviously is a huge factor, and I think that's what people latch on to. But I think it was best for both sides. I've been pretty adamant. I don't think he's playing football in 2025. I think he's going to be. I don't know that Rodgers. With a grain of salt, I'm sure the reporting was very well done. I'm not going to sit here and tell people that I'm not in that. I'm not going to tell people that they're wrong or any of the reports of the McAfee thing and things like that. I will say the Jets have gone out of their way, like to an extent which is almost cringeworthy, how much they've gone out of their way to make sure Rodgers has been let down easy. 800 different tweets. It's the thank you 8 stuff. It's really have let him down easy in terms of like trying to be respectful of him. He chose the Jets, and he's a legend. We know obviously he has no issue, talking. So I think they've done their best here, and it feels like the reporting is making it seem as if they're the bad guy here. Like they made a decision, and again, we have to see what their plan is. I think until we see that, it's hard to make a full judgment, right? But I don't think there's an issue with saying, hey, financially, this decision was probably the smart one. Probably for the culture aspect, not that Rodgers is a bad culture guy. It's more of he's bigger than the team. He just is. He's
exactly.
MVP. And Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji are trying to have a roster of 53 that all is on the same page. And and then again, from a scheme perspective, I just don't know if it was going to work. So I have no issue with what the Jets did. I think to be honest with you, Rodgers has been telling people he's going to get cut since the Arizona game. If you listen to him every week,
I've never been cut by a teenager before him going on the back.
17-year-old's going to cut me. That I would be crazy if I got cut every week. It was the same topic.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of told you what he thought was going to happen, and now it's like everyone's acting surprised. And Connor, I don't know if you got this, but I feel like all year I defended Rodgers pretty staunchly. Of like
1,000%.
And then everyone's like, "You're an idiot. He's terrible." And now that the Jets cut him, all of a sudden Aaron Rodgers is 4-time MVP Rodgers again,
Yep.
and I'm a hater. I don't really get it.
Exactly.
But listen, I think time will tell. Maybe it wasn't the right decision, and we'll see. But the Jets moved off of Favre, obviously, as we know, and he went to the Vikings. And, yeah, he had a great year, but the Jets were built and then had really good years back-to-back years. So who knows what will happen. I just think this was always going to happen, whether Rodgers either retired or the Jets cut him. It's the same money. It doesn't really matter either way.
Will, I couldn't agree with you more there. You mentioned trying to defend Rodgers. That was me all season long. There was so much to the picture. I think coaching was the main difference why the Jets were 5-12 last season instead of 12-5. But at the same time, people who wanted AR back, Will, just based on hearing me, you probably could pick up that I did not want Aaron Rodgers back.
Yeah.
Season, with the same, stipulations like you said of being able to come in, learn the new offensive scheme on a reduced salary. But, the way he looked the first 12 games of the season, people are going to say, I know the injury he suffered in the Denver game, blah, blah, blah. Still, he was immobile. You need a mobile quarterback to win and to implement a modern-day offensive system. I think with a 41-year-old, too, now going to be 2 years removed from the Achilles injury. Still, he's 41 years old. Another year removed from the Achilles injury while he's adding, another year to his age, and he's going to be 42 in December. So there's, you can do the what-ifs all you want. My whole thing is he looks like crap the first 12 games of the season. In my opinion, he was a bottom 10 quarterback last season. Just, except yards and touchdowns, he was bottom 10 in every other metric. Yards and touchdowns, he was top 10 in because he threw the ball over 500 times. Couldn't put him under center, like you said. Running play action out of the pistol. It was an absolute joke last season. So I'm happy they overall moved on from Aaron Rodgers. And I know people who wanted them back are going to say, what's the best option? It's not particularly about what's the best option. It's about what puts your team in the, sustained success, like Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn really honed in on during their introductory press conference.
Yeah.
Build sustained success with Aaron Rodgers. And like you said, moving on from Aaron Rodgers, what Aaron Glenn is doing is sending a statement. This is a Parcells-like move. No celebrity quarterbacks, like he said in his introductory press conference. This is about the New York Jets. This is not about Aaron Rodgers. And that's the message he sent right here, right now, by moving on from Aaron Rodgers. So overall, I'm a big fan of the move. Well, let's move over to the alternative options. Tyrod Taylor seems to be the consensus pick on who people think is going to be the starter. That's my opinion. Yeah. I'm a big Tyrod guy. However, you're going to need some sort of backup there next season because Tyrod's not playing 17 games. Whether it's someone you add in free agency, whether it's someone you add through the draft, who are some names you're looking for that the Jets might add? Yeah,
I think from a free agency perspective, Justin Fields is the guy to me that look, Fields is not a perfect player. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and BS you. There is serious issues. But there's serious issues with pretty much every one of these guys that's on the market. Sam's not coming back. Gino's not – even if Gino gets cut, I don't think he's coming back. And again, it's not that I don't think – I love both those guys back. But being realistic, one bad throw against the Patriots in week 1, theoretically, and the fan base is up in arms and these guys are getting paid. They're not your homegrown guy anymore. So don't think that's happening. Don't think Dak's getting traded. Maybe there's a world in which Trevor or Kyler, get traded out. I still think that's a long shot. So you move to the draft, unless the Jets trade up to 1 for Cam Ward or somewhere in the top 5, wherever that may be. You're likely looking at a mid-round quarterback in, Jackson Dart and Jalen Milroe. Don't love either of those guys personally. In terms of, is it a Tyler Shook in round 5, Kyle McCord? Is it Will Howard? You're kind of looking at guys that you don't want starting right away. So then you move to free agency and it's Cooper Rush and
Daniel
Tanner
Jones,
McKee,
Nick Mullins,
and Trey Lance and all these guys. Fields to me, Russell Wilson, Daniel Jones. I just think then you start to get yourself in a situation where Fields, at least to me, has a lot of upside still. Extremely well liked in the locker room. You're able to, run the piss out of the football with Justin Fields. The Steelers were successful, with Fields. So probably looking at what the Darnold deal he got last year is one for about $10.5, $12 million. Mostly it's like a $4 million base salary. It was all incentives. Obviously, Sam hit all those incentives because he had an incredible year. But I think you'd like Tyrod to be your backup. I think that means you probably address the quarterback situation in an adequate manner. Like, I've made this point about right tackle and tight end, and some people appreciate it, some people are not happy about it. But like, I'd like to bring Moses and Conklin back and draft somebody that can eventually pass them by week 6, because that means now a team that was winning 7 or 8 games, that's where Conklin and Moses probably are at this point in their career. They're solid NFL players, they're starter level, but you'd kind of prefer they're almost, Moses because of health, and Conklin, you'd probably rather be your tight end too. So can the Jets draft somebody? Same thing with quarterback. Like, Tyrod's a really awesome backup. He's a good spot starter.
Yep.
For 4 games. It's as good as you're going to find is in that market. But like, do you trust him for 17? You trust him if he can stay healthy, but he doesn't stay healthy. That's part of why he's a backup. So yeah, I think Fields is the one that at least gives you some excitement. He's still young where, hey, if it works out and you want to draft your guy next year, then Fields is your bridge guy and you feel really good about yourself going into 26. I'm not trying to sell false hope here that Justin Fields is like, Matt Stafford. He's not. But he's been getting better. He's on the same track that Baker and Sam are on, where really bad organization or really bad situation, I should say. They struggle. They show some flashes. The fan base half wants to keep him, half doesn't. He moves on, goes to a good organization. Fields obviously in Pittsburgh. I still don't really get why Pittsburgh went with Russell Wilson. Personally, I feel like the run game suffered as a part of that. And I know Fields doesn't. Russ throws a really good deep ball, but like, other than that, Russ can't avoid pressure anymore. And the Jets having a guy that can move, the O-line's athletic, especially with Olu next year, and maybe depending on what they do at right tackle, the O-line should be athletic enough. Brees healthy. He's got chemistry with Garrett, obviously. Could you add a tight end or two? Could you add another weapon and be like, hey, we're going to be back to really good defense, good special teams. We're going to run the football well, give Garrett the ball 150 times, and win games 23-16, and find ourselves in a situation where then, in the ideal world, you win 9 or 10 games because it goes well. Fields last year was on track to win, 10 games?
Yeah. He was 4-2 as a starter.
Right. 10 touchdowns, I think 1 or 2 picks. Then you're I can now trade up in the following year with Buffalo, Kansas City. We've seen other teams do where that's the perfect time to draft your quarterback when everything is good around this guy. At that point, you'd feel good about Glenn, Engstrand, etc. Then you go and get the rookie quarterback, and you can obviously when you start to pay some of these other guys.
Yeah, for sure. Will, this is what I'll say about Tyrod Taylor. My main issue with him is health. If he was able to stay healthy throughout the entirety,
he's a 500 quarterback.
Exactly. He's 28-1, I think is his exact record.
No, he's literally a 500 quarterback.
Yeah, the Rockies, I agree. That's the funny part. So you're telling me Tyrod Taylor plays the first 10, he starts the first 10 games of the season for the Jets. There's no reason they can't be 5-5 and 6-4. And then you put Justin Fields in again, who is 26 years old. He's going to be 26 in March. He's a dynamic athlete, dual threat type guy who, when you have him in the game, you have to worry about him and Brees Hall out of the backfield. He's an elusive player. Like you said, he's not particularly a perfect quarterback. His arm isn't great overall. He's very inconsistent from an accuracy standpoint as well. But he's someone I think you could bring in. He can start 5 or 6 games for you, and you're able to implement a modern-day offensive system. Now, Will, my next question for you, if the Jets were to roll with a Justin Fields, Tyrod Taylor type combo, do you think that, is punting on next season? That's one of the biggest, storylines we've heard since moving on from Aaron Rodgers, which I think is complete nonsense. There's more to the picture, but you just won 5 games with the guy, and you're saying moving on from him is automatically punting on next season. I think that's an absolute joke. I think if you have Justin Fields and Tyrod Taylor, and there's no reason you can't go 9-8, 10-7 with competent coaching and a competent defense next season. I don't think that's out of the picture, Will.
Yeah, I don't really get. What about what the Jets have done is saying they're punting because they got rid of a quarterback when they were 5-12. I love Rodgers, my favorite quarterback of all time. I've made no secret about that. I know I'm supposed to be unbiased and whatever. Like, I love Rodgers. I find him extremely intriguing and like fun to listen to. And whether you like what he has to say or not, he's a fun listen, and he's an incredible quarterback, and he was for 20 years. They were 5-12 last year. They beat 5 bad teams outside of Houston. And again, playoff games against playoff teams. Like, I feel like we forget the Buffalo game that was 2 weeks before Miami, where they got blown off the field and Rodgers was horrendous. And I was like, wow, it's really over. And then he has the nice game against Miami, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, he had 4 touchdowns. Well, Tyreek Hill, the Dolphins are such a mess. Tyreek Hill quit mid-game. So, not that that's an example of anything. Tyreek Hill is Tyreek Hill. So, but if they're going to take Rodgers as a post-June 1 cut, nothing about that says they're going to be punting, because that means it gives them way more money this year to spend, right? Obviously, not necessarily right away, but it means they're not going to take $49 million on this year right now, and like they've, one of the biggest dead cap hits in NFL history. So, yeah, I don't get the sense like Aaron Glenn's punting on 2025. Maybe again, if we go out and we see them, it's hard to just project because obviously we don't know what they're going to do in free agency, trade market, et cetera. But I don't get the sense that they're punting on anything. I don't think that they think they're going to win a Super Bowl this year. No, let's be realistic. They're going to have established things, and they have to get quarterback right, obviously, and other things. But yeah, I think this team is going to try to win realistically between 8 and 9 games. I think is where most people will settle when the season, unless quarterback's an abject disaster. I think most people end up settling on between 7 and 10 wins, depending on, optimistic or not. Again, we talked about this for 24 months of Aaron Rodgers. If they had the same defense they had in 22 or even 23 with competent quarterback play, which Rodgers was competent. No one's saying he wasn't. He was
average to below average.
Yeah, he was good in some. So he had 4 or 5 awesome games. He had 4 or 5 fine games, and he had 6 or 7 really bad games. Like, he was very much a 10-7, 9-8 quarterback. Like, if the Jets defense was what it was 2 years ago, and the special teams was good, the Jets probably go 10-7 last year. Their roster is going to be better. Their coaching staff's going to be tremendously improved because there's nowhere to go but up. And if the quarterback play is even remotely comparable, why are they all of a sudden with an easier schedule a worse team? I don't get the notion that everything should be better, but somehow they'll be worse. A team that won 5 games, now they're a 4-win team. Like, that doesn't really track for me. I don't know. I don't get the notion that's going to be the case. Again, maybe it's 7 wins and it's like, damn, like, we're back to 7 wins, but at least maybe you feel good about the 7 wins. It's all kind of depends on, how you feel. But I don't know. I don't think they're punting on 2025, at least not yet.
Smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Greatly appreciate all your support here on the show. Will Parkinson, Connor Long, here with you on a Saturday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. Any questions for Will and I, throw them in the chat. We'll get to those super chats. We'll cut the line here. A few super chats. We're going to get to our guy Chris J, channel member, moderator, comes in with a $5 super chat. Says, need your thoughts on the new Drake tape. Connor, Real Music is back. Now, Will, for some backstory here, I said the Kendrick Lamar halftime show was good, and Chris J did not like that take, and now he's firing back at me with some Drake music. I'm going to be honest, Chris, I didn't catch the new Drake tape today. What about you?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I didn't think Kendrick's halftime was particularly exciting. I like some of Kendrick's music, but just was like there wasn't a lot of energy in the stadium. But again, it's all good. Like, my hot take, and this is probably not answering the question, but the Super Bowl halftime show is best when it's an artist that has like catchy radio hits. Like, anything else, there might be a much better artist and they might make much better music, but it's like 15 minutes with like 300 million people watching. You got to play just straight hits that everyone like sings along to.
Yeah.
Even like, look, I'm not a huge Lady Gaga fan, but I know 5 songs and I can like, it's almost easier. Like, J-Lo hasn't made music in 15 years, but the show is good because obviously everyone's like intrigued on what's going on stage, and then they make catchy music. Where Kendrick's a great artist, it's hard to, like, for a lot of people that are watching and they've no idea what's going on. Like, it's like Bad Bunny would be amazing. He's the biggest artist in the world. He'd be a great person for the Super Bowl halftime show, but in reality, he'd be terrible for it because half the people watching have no idea what's going on. It's just the reality of it.
Absolutely. Awesome. LA in the building. $5 super chat. Appreciate you. That video by Let's Talk Jets is what the negative Jets fans need to hear. Lay Sal, I saw you threw that in the Discord. I got to take I didn't listen to the full thing. I read some of the comments. I got to take a listen. Will, did you catch that video by from Tyson Rauch?
I did not. What did he say? Was he saying?
I didn't hear it. I wanted to see if you heard it to sum it up. I think it was titled "What Negative Jets Fans Need to Hear."
I think he was being, if I'm not mistaken, that he was being mostly positive about.
He was
kind of similar things to, I assume, what I was kind of just saying, where like they're trying to reestablish a culture. Everyone's excited about the hire, and like now it's not really the time to panic. I agree to an extent in terms of like, and I keep saying this. I don't know what in the last week has like made everyone start spazzing out and being so negative. Like I could put out a mock draft and the Jets having draft a quarterback every round and just take a shot on all of them and ever make this suck. Like everyone's very angry this week, and maybe the luster's already worn off for Glenn and Muji and some of that stuff. But man, I'm a bit surprised. Usually this is the time where everyone's kind of overly optimistic. Again, if the Jets were 8-9 last year, and the only reason they missed the playoffs was kicking and defense, and Rodgers played the same way, I'd feel very differently. But they went 5-12, and again, we're only getting the side that the Jets cut him. Why is everyone like? No one said Rodgers is playing football next year.
Exactly.
None of that's been said. So until he's on a team and looks great, and I don't know. Can we see their plan first at quarterback before everyone's like, this team sucks?
Yeah, two wins. Tank year.
Maybe they will suck. I don't know, but they might be awesome. I have no idea either. Like the Jets are usually best when there's no expectations, so I guess maybe it's better that way.
For sure. Let's keep it going with your super chats here. Any questions, throw them in the chat. A few more minutes left with Will. I'll stay on, answer the rest of your questions. Our number one Austrian Jet fan in the house, 1 month member super chat. Upset move, trade for Jake Browning. Now, Will, Jake Browning is someone we've seen with a limited starting experience in the NFL. I think he's late 20s. What does his overall trade value really look like? It is a 5th round pick, a 4th round pick. He's a Darth Bro, I think, at this point.
Yeah, most of these guys are. I mean, look at everyone that went last year. Justin Fields, I think, what do you go for a 6?
Yeah, Malik Willis went for a 7th.
Kenny Pickett was a 4th for a 3rd. Like you're moving, you're moving up around or down around. It's probably getting Jake Browning's value is probably similar to what the Zach trade was, not because and like that says more about Zach, to be honest. But is it a 7th for a 6th? Is it a 6th for a 5th? Is that kind of that's what you start to look at with these? I asked somebody about Joe Milton, and they were basically like, hopefully we could get back a 5th for him. And I was like, because everyone was like, but like, I don't know. He played 1 game. And
week 18 too.
Yeah, it's week 18, played 1 game, which is great. But, these GMs have gotten burned by quarterback deals before. If you're a guy you're hoping could be a bridge guy for you, you're not going. Like Gardner Minshew, he's going for a 6 like 12 times. Like and he's had way more experience than Jake Browning, who I like Jake Browning, but I like him again a lot better as my spot starter for 4 weeks than a 17-game starter.
For sure. Ron Weiss in the building, $10 super chat. Ron, appreciate your support as always. This year's schedule is rough. I just watched the tape on Nico, and I think we should do our best to get him in 2026. I agree with the part that the schedule's really tough, but still, like you said, Will, there's still so much unknown what the plan at quarterback is going to look like. Now to automatically say this team's winning 10 games next season or this team is winning 2 games next season. As for the quarterbacks in 2026, I'm going to be honest, I know nothing about them except Nussmeier and Aller, because there were talks of them potentially coming out in this year's draft. So I saw minimal tape on them, but other than that, I'm not too familiar with the 2026 quarterbacks. Will, thoughts there?
Yeah. The 2026 class is should be nasty. Sellers, maybe Arch, Nussmeier, Drew Aller, who I think stinks, but whatever. I don't know. He needs a lot more. He's got good tools, but oof. There's Nico. There's a lot of guys in this class. So yeah, the next 2 quarterback classes have like the big star names, and if Arch doesn't come out, then it's Arch and DJ. In 2027, like there's a good pipeline of quarterbacks over the next couple of years. So yeah, I agree.
Let's see where we are. Guy Jimmy Jets gifted a channel membership that went to our guy Brian Rapp. Jimmy, thanks so much for the support. Appreciate all your gifting
smash
membership.
That like button for Connor.
Yep. Appreciate you, Will. Appreciate you guys. Smash the like button, subscribe, completely free. Helps us grow a lot. Follow Will at WillPaul11 on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, TOJ Talks. Will Parkinson, certainly check that out. Will, one more thing, point here before we let you go. Jets commute. Our guy Petey in the house is great show, Connor. Will, if it came down to who would you take, T-Mac at 7 or the Georgia linebacker? He's talking about Jalen Walker, the outside linebacker, and Michael Williams.
Yeah. So I would take Jalen Walker over Tet.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, if it's Michael Williams, I would take Tet. I think Jalen Walker's a top 3 player in this class. He is. I don't know. I mean, again, I think you'd have to get a good coach to figure out, does he like, people get scared by guys that are quote unquote positionless, and I get that, but I think he can be an elite linebacker and an elite edge. So if you're telling me that on early downs, you can play him in a base set, and then on later downs, you can bring other guys in on the field and bring in like a speed package, and he moves to linebacker on third down, whatever it is, or vice versa. I don't know. He's 6'2", 245. He plays with one of the highest motors you'll see in the country, and he's a sick athlete, and he kills people. So to me, like, I'd rather that than a guy that, I'm not saying he's Micah Parsons, but he looks a lot like Micah, and like he's not quite as twitchy in terms of that. But some of the stuff where it's like, hey, you can play linebacker, could play edge, who knows? I like Ted a lot. My worry with Ted is you're taking a guy at 7 who last year probably goes in the late teens, early 20s, and it's just like a little. You'd have to, again, if you think Engstrand's going to be a really good OC and you'll be able to figure out quarterback, sure, I'm open to Ted at 7 for sure. It's a playmaker early in the first round. Like, it's hard to be angry about it. Mykel Williams, a little looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane. Just a little bit. Again, you're betting so much on traits, so much. He's 6'5", 265. He's got freakishly long arms. He's jacked out of his mind. So it's like, it's played at Georgia. It's really exciting. You're kind of betting and hoping he's going to be Trayvon Walker. And because that's like all the comps are, look at his production in terms of win rate and his pressure rate and how many pass rush snaps. Like, Trayvon Walker is a bit of an anomaly. Honestly, like, I'd rather take Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M than take Mykel. Shamar Stewart is
He's great traits. He's great traits.
Yeah, he's great traits. He's going to run in the 4.4s at 290 pounds and 6'5". I'm telling you right now, you can clip this if it happens. I would put it at he's probably one of the 5 guys that'll be like the closest to the Jet. Like, I'm telling you, he perfectly fits. Again, you are betting, so it's a risky pick. I'm not saying it's
for
not.
Sure.
But he is like a prototypical, everyone talks about the big edge guys that Aaron Glenn has had. They had New Orleans, they had in Detroit. He like fits that to a T. Again, I'm not saying I would have the balls to do it, because you are betting on a guy you're hoping he's Danielle Hunter with a sack and a half every year in college. But
exactly.
If Mason Graham's gone, Abdul Carter's gone, you don't love one of the tackles who I don't think are tackles. You don't want to go Mike Green, or you don't want to go Jalen Walker or whatever. You don't love Tet. I'd rather Shamar Stewart than a Mykel Williams. Shamar, I think, has got his head screwed on right, and I think there's better traits there, personally.
Well, Shamar Stewart's really interesting. I know you got to go, so I'll make this quicker. He's really interesting because, like you said, 1.5 sacks per year in college. He wasn't all that productive, but hearing you talk after the Senior Bowl, listening to Connor Rogers, everyone who was down at the Senior Bowl who covers the Jets, it seems like he has the traits to be really productive at the NFL level. The problem is he's yet to put that on tape. So like you said, it would be a big gamble. At that point, I would lean more towards a Mike Green out of Marshall, just because I think, again, the floor is a bit higher there than a Shamar Stewart, where the floor is really low, but the ceiling is through the roof, what you get out of him. Tyler Warren's another really interesting name. Do you think, I guess we'll end with that.
Yeah.
You think if the Jets are really in love with him, this new regime, Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn, it's worthy of looking at a 6'5" tight end and Tyler Warren as the 7th overall pick?
So this is my only issue with Warren. And size is prototypical, awesome. He's 6'6", 260. He's extremely versatile. He's a great pass catcher. He blocks well. Everything about him is on tape is really awesome. There's not really many flaws. If he tests the way I think he's going to test, I think people are going to be a little disappointed. I think if you think he's like a 4 or 5 guy, I think unless those clocks get juiced, it's not what he is. And that's fine. Like, I don't know that you need to be like, I ran the 4.7s too, and I played tight end. So I'm not sitting here like I have no what's it called? I have no beef with that. But I just think it's maybe a little rich at 7. Again, if they figure out quarterback situated, they maybe sign a big time, they sign Milt Williams, and you're like, oh wow, defensive line, maybe we don't need as much help as we thought. And we don't love the way the board fell. Like, Tyler Warren's our best player. Cool. I'm okay with that. I just think there's other guys that you probably would be betting on the athlete mixed with the character. And I just think Tyler Warren's a better football player than athlete, in my opinion, at least just from like a, 40, like some of that stuff that, again, you don't want to get too obsessed with. But if he runs in the mid 4.7s, it's hard to justify taking that guy at 7 overall when it's such a deep tight end class. I think that's the other thing, Connor, is defensive tackle and tight end and running back for that matter. There's really awesome guys in these drafts, right?
Mhm.
Genty, Mason Graham, obviously you mentioned Tyler Warren there. There's also like 8 other really awesome tight ends that are maybe not they're 85% of it, but you might be able to get them at pick 109 as
Like
opposed to
Arroyo, Fannin. What's the Lou?
Jason Taylor.
Yeah, Jason Taylor from LSU. Laley? Is it Lashley? I think is how you say his last name, out of Iowa.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys like that's just my only issue. Like with those guys, and again, if you believe in the player, take it, have conviction, go with it.
Mhm.
But I just worry a little bit of like, are you overdrafting a bit a guy who you could get 90% of 3 rounds later, and then you should maybe take the guy who like the position you can't. Like I think there's good edge players in this class. I don't think there's like 25 awesome edges. There's like 25 awesome defensive tackles.
Yeah. The class is super overall tight end, I think, and interior defensive lineman. I think this is a good draft for the Jets, given how deep it is.
Jets need it, right? They need
Exactly.
They need that. They need safeties. Unless they bring some of these guys back, there's multiple starting spots open.
I agree 1,000%, Will. I think you need probably at minimal two tight ends. You need to add, whether it's their free agency trade or draft before next season. I think you need 4 legit new safeties. Maybe you bring Jalen Mills back for $3 million, but I don't think he's a viable starter in this league. And then defensive lineman, you need to add some new guys to those rotations. So that's the other thing. People are just assuming that next year was all in when they were talking about bringing Aaron Rodgers back. But no, this team entering the 2025 season has a lot more holes than they did entering the 2023 season or the 2024 season. So this is an all in. And guys, please, I implore you, like I've said on the past few shows, don't judge Aaron Glenn and Darren Mushi year one just based on their record. Are they able to come in and establish a culture right away? Do you see some sort of a change in a win-loss perspective, or is the team looking more disciplined from a penalties perspective overall? So don't start, if the Jets if they win 4 games next season, which I'm not going to count out, don't start the Aaron Glenn, Gerard Mayo comps, fire them after 1 season. Please don't do that. So that's where I am on this new regime. Will, appreciate you hopping on.
Yeah, thanks
as
so
always.
much.
And any final thoughts? Plug everything you got.
Yeah, had a couple of pods this week. Field Yates, Mike Renner, and both the McCourties were on. Next week, have some. I would just say subscribe to the channels, and we'll have some big stuff around the combine and stuff like that. We have our live show, in the city in April. So if anyone wants to stop by, please feel free. It'll be a lot of fun. And appreciate having me on. Keep crushing it, dude.
Ladies and gentlemen, Will Parkinson checking in here on the program. Follow him at WillPa11, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Subscribe to his YouTube channel, Will Parkinson. Absolute legend. So happy we were able to get him back on the show. Stay on a little longer, answer your questions, take your calls. If you want to call into the show, pin comment at the top of the chat. Any questions, throw them in there. We'll get to those super chats. We'll cut the line. It's the free way. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Free. Please do it. Completely free. Helps us grow significantly. The paid way to support every gifted membership or every $2.99 super chat will get you a ticket into our raffle this month. Joe Klecko signed jersey, Mark Gastineau signed jersey, Bill Parcells signed photo free item from the merch store channel emoji among the prizes we're giving away this month. Can't thank you enough for all your support. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by the start of the NFL draft. Get to some questions here, and then we will go over and take your calls. Call into the show by using the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Is that legend comes in, and he says, please, no Dart, rather have Howard or Milroe. Now, it depends where you're talking about no Dart. No Dart for me in the first round, no Dart for me at the top of the second round. If the Jets somehow make a trade to get back towards the back end of the second round and Dart's still there, I would be willing to run that up to the podium. Howard and Milroe, I'd really like late day 2, early day 3. Howard, I think you're able to bring him in. He's a winner. You're able to implement a pro-level offensive system, a lot of experience in college. One concern, he's 24 years old, but he's 24 years old, meaning he has a lot of experience at the college level. Chip Kelly was OC. Now Chip Kelly's with Pete Carroll in Las Vegas as his offensive coordinator. So Chip Kelly runs a pro-level offensive system. You're able to implement a modern pro-level offensive system with Will Howard As for Jalen Milroe, I'd probably take Howard over him just because, first of all, I think Milroe has the highest ceiling among any quarterback in this year's draft. The one thing is he has the lowest floor. So you're really taking a dart throw if you want to go ahead and try to draft Jalen Milroe. I think he's a project. I think there's a chance he has to sit for 2 full seasons really before he garners a starting opportunity in this league. So that's where I am on those guys. I think you take a quarterback some point in this year's draft. I think you have to, whether it's Will Parkinson laid out a name that I haven't heard a lot about from fans. Tyler Shaw from Louisville. He's a name the Jets could potentially try to covet if they want to go quarterback in like one of the late rounds, like 6th or 7th round. So still a lot of time to the draft, though, over 2 months away. Austrian Jet fan says Ward, Dart, or Howard. Again, it all depends on which round. I'll focus on Ward here. If Ward's there somehow at 7, you run that up to the podium. I wouldn't particularly trade up for Ward unless the new regime is in love with him. Unless they're in love with Cam Ward, I don't think you trade up for him. If he's there at 7, though, you got to take him because I think he's my quarterback one in this year's class, and I think he has the potential to be a really solid NFL player. Austin, LA, LaSalle in the building. I think you're saying I would like Jacoby Brissett. I feel like the Pats' offensive line gave him nothing to work with. Also, he didn't have any weapons. He went 1-4 in 5 starts with the start of the season with the Patriots. Been throw for over 200 yards in any one of the starts. I just think his time as a starter in this league is pretty much over. He's 32 years old. I would take him as a viable backup option behind Tyrod Taylor, but I don't think you can expect him to start 17 games and somehow try to sneak out a wild card spot. I just don't think you can expect that at this point of his career from Jacoby Brissett. You're in the building. Again, I'm good on Kirk. I don't want Brissett. I don't want Wilson. Don't want Carr. Can't agree with you more. I don't really want any of those guys. Especially, I just lost that. I was going to go back. No Kirk for sure, and no Carr. Those are the 2 guys like I am not going near. I'm not touching with a 6-foot pole. I put those guys almost in the same tier if you want to covet a Josh Dobbs. You can't implement that's basically taking Aaron Rodgers and going, okay, I want to go with a cheaper Aaron Rodgers. That's what you're doing by bringing in Kirk Cousins and Derek Carr. Derek Carr is crazy. He's 33 years old, but he moves around like he's 50. Derek Carr cannot move at this point in his career. He's suffered injuries the past few seasons. Kirk Cousins, same thing, 37 years old, threw the most interceptions in all of football last year, played in only 14 games, touchdown to interception ratio was horrific. No, thank you. No, thank you. Ure comes back in, says, I'm good on Browning too. I'd rather O'Connell. I think he's a tremendous upside if he could work on the turnovers. I don't want Aiden O'Connell as a starter, though. We're listing out all these free agent names, but at the same time, we're forgetting that Tyrod Taylor's on our roster. Tyrod Taylor, you can get 10 starts out of him, and then boom, you make a trade for a Hendon Hooker, who could be your backup next season. Add a free agent, but I don't want Aiden O'Connell as a starter under any circumstance. I think Tyrod is the Jets' best option as a week 1 starter, unless you make an unforeseen trade for a Kyler Murray or a Matthew Stafford. I think that's the Jets' best scenario, September 1st, 2025, in my opinion. Austrian Jet fan, I like Sam Howell, train his interceptions off of him. I don't mind Howell. What is his trade value, though? He's a 5th-round pick just a few years ago. You're telling me we can give up a conditional 4th for him. Has a connection to the quarterbacks coach Charles London, and Scott Turner was his play caller over his 2 seasons. I think he started with the Commanders, so 2 connections to 2 different coaches on the offensive staff. Wouldn't mind him, but let's not forget, I understand there's more to the picture. I think he went 4-13 as a starter one season with the Commanders and really did not look good overall. So at this point, I would prefer other options than Sam Howell. Jets, oh yeah, we got this from our guy Petey. Petey, appreciate you tuning in. Juan Sarita in the building. We need to sign Trey Hendrickson, Milton, Williams, Zach Bond, and draft McCord, quarterback from Syracuse. Hendrickson, I would love. What's his market value, though, overall? I have to check that out where he is on Spot Track. Milton, you'd have to trade for him. You'd have to trade for Joe Milton. I don't think the Patriots are going to want to give him up. He has some upside as a backup. Hold on to him. And I don't know why they would want to trade him to the Jets in division trade. No, thank you. Williams, clarify which Williams you're talking about. Zach Bond, I think, could provide some linebacker depth. He would come in. He would be a starter right away, Super Bowl winner. Give me Zach Bond. Kyle McCord, late day 2, early day 3 would be a great pick for the Jets. Reminds me a lot of Jared Goff. Athleticism could use some work, but great arm, great velocity. He could throw the ball downfield, pocket passer. I'm a big fan of Kyle McCord. DNY for life coming in the building with his 1-month member super chat. Run it with Tyrod, Jordan Travis, and Will Howard? ? Tyrod, Jordan Travis. I think you can't expect anything out of Jordan Travis. So I think among these three guys, he would be the third string. Will Howard, if you're telling me you can get him late day 2, early day 3, why not? Why not? He's someone went over can implement a pro level offensive system, a lot of experience. He's the top of my list if you want to draft a guy. I would love to bring in Will Howard. Late day 2, early day 3. So that's where I am. Any other questions? Throw them in the chat. We'll get to those. And then if you want to call into the show, we'll take your calls in a little while. Do that by clicking the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Our guy June the GM wants in on the raffle. He became a member. June the GM. Appreciate your support as always here on the show. That is one raffle ticket for you. You can get into our membership raffle by gifting a membership, or every $2.99 super chat will do so as well. So now you can't gift on mobile, and a lot of you I know were watching on mobile, so you could get into the raffle by giving a $2.99 super chat on mobile. Where are we? All right, here a few more questions left before we go over to your calls. Keep them coming. We'll get to those. We'll stay on a while longer, depending on how engaged you guys are here in the chat. My holy king, appreciate tuning in. Connor, who is your number 1 quarterback choice right now for a week 1 starter? It's Tyrod Taylor. He gives them the best option from the balance of an on-field perspective. Also, he's cheap. He's already under contract next year. He's a locker room guy. He won the Jets Good Guy Award last year. He's not going to be a problem. I would love Tyrod Taylor. Well, also adding a Jameis Winston in free agency, a Marcus Mariota, Taylor Heineke, Andy Dalton, even Mike White, maybe that and Mike White potentially could come back and compete. He's a free agent, Josh Dobbs, something like that. That's my number 1 scenario while also drafting a guy. Austrian Jet fan, appreciate tuning in. Rourke, Kurt, you're talking about the quarterback at Indiana. I know you're talking about, or Dylan Gabriel, takeable in rounds 3 to 5. Rourke, I would say, I think I have a 6th round grade on him. Dylan Gabriel, I'd say, I think I have a 4th or 5th round grade on him. So Gabriel, certainly, I think Dylan Gabriel would be a 1st round pick if he was 6'2". The only concern the main concern, at least with Dylan Gabriel, is his height. The Jets want to wait that long to take a quarterback, take a real dart throw. Give me Dylan Gabriel, who has so much upside at that point in the draft. Yer says, so you think Hooker has more upside than Aiden O'Connell? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think Hendon Hooker has such a high ceiling in this league. Not only does he know this offensive system, not only has he been around Aaron Glenn, Tanner Engstrand, he was a Heisman finalist before he got injured in Tennessee. 3rd round pick, would have been a 1st round pick if he wasn't injured. And the skill set that he has, he's big, he's able to get out of the pocket, run, extend plays, make plays, strong arm. We just haven't seen anything out of Hendon Hooker. Aiden O'Connell, I don't think can really move. Aiden O'Connell is Kyle McCord. I think Kyle McCord is Aiden O'Connell with a higher ceiling. I think they're pretty similar. So if you want someone similar to Aiden O'Connell, just go ahead and draft Kyle McCord in this year's draft. I'm a big Kyle McCord fan, but he's Aiden O'Connell with a higher ceiling. That's what I think he is. I appreciate you all tuning in. Smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, completely free. Helps us grow significantly. 31 of you here in the building on YouTube. Only 27 likes. 1,606 subscribers is where we are right now. Hit subscribe, guys. Completely free. Helps us grow a ton. We're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by the draft. That helps us get there. Keep the questions coming. We'll get to those. If you want to call into the show, click the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Let's go over to the phone lines. Our guy Devin is first up here on the program. Devin, how are you?
I'm good, brother. Connor, it's nice to meet you, man. Like I gotta say, I'm a fan, brother.
Appreciate it.
Yo, dude, like sometimes, there are people just intelligence is intelligence, bro. And you spit some facts, man. Gosh, bro, I'm so impressed,
I appreciate
brother.
your support. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man. It's like I'm talking to somebody that has some serious knowledge, has done his research, and I'm thoroughly impressed. And not only that, I'm of a like mind. Like, I love Jake. So I learned about you through Jake because you were on his show.
Oh, nice. I appreciate that.
So I love Jake. That's my dude. I love him. I love BG. There's a lot of content creators I love. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, anyhow, my point being, that's how I discovered you through these guys. So I just started following you slowly. So I'm a fan. But I just wanted to say to you, like, I put down there, I said, I don't understand why people are so upset with this Aaron Rodgers situation. And you said it, and I agree with your perspective, right? Like, even if do we think he's going to win us a Super Bowl? I don't think so. So what's the point? The ultimate point is to win the Super Bowl or improve our team. I think not having him on our team it eliminates a huge distraction first and foremost, right? And whether or not you want to say that is a fact. Like, I think we romanticize his play last year because we look at the numbers and against the previous Jets quarterback, it looks astronomical. It's an inarguable, 28 touchdowns versus can't even make it to double digits. So that's true. But when you look at the facts of the matter, like when you're looking at the game, there's so many games that I'm looking like, oh, why are we forcing it? Did we forget he's forcing it? And then people say, hey, he's going to bring, if he stays, he's going to keep Devontae with him. I don't know if that's a good thing not for Garrett. And I love Garrett. Garrett is a homegrown player. And we personally saw at the end of the season that Aaron Rodgers was force feeding his boy. Yes. And how is that helpful to the team? How is that helpful to our tight ends? He doesn't go to the tight end, doesn't like to throw the ball over the middle. You know what? I could get that out of Tyrod. So this is what I would like to do. What are your thoughts on this? I would like to keep Tyrod as the opening day starter, just as you said. I don't know what's out of Jordan Travis, but I would have him, and if I could get Will Howard, I'd have him battle, or maybe another quarterback. I do like the Syracuse kid. He's pretty good, but I think today in day and age, you really want a mobile quarterback. So if I could get the kid out of Alabama, I'll take him as well, but I won't take none of them in the first or second round. I want them in the third round or better. So my first round, I want that kid, Tech McKinley, 6'5",
from Arizona
Tech
State.
McMillan, yeah, from Arizona State. I'm gonna trade a 4 for a 4. We're gonna lose my boy that's a 4, at corner, but we're gonna replace that with a wide receiver and give him that 4. And that dude is like, I compared him this morning. I told BG, I said I compared him to like a 6'5" Mike Evans that's faster. You know what I'm saying? And I'll take him I'll take that too, though. And on a rookie quarterback to go alongside with our boy Garrett. And I think he's kind of like quarterback proof, kind of like Garrett is quarterback proof. And Tyrod is no slouch. He's just been hurt. His one knock on him is that he has been hurt, but he is accurate. He doesn't turn the ball over. And he's an ultimate team guy, as you pointed out earlier. So why am I not going to be going with Tyrod on day one? And if Tyrod doesn't do well and we don't win enough games and the other two guys can come in and then we can see what we have with them going through the season. I'm not trying to throw away the season, but at the same token, I'm realistic. I'm not going to win a Super Bowl next year. We have way too many holes on defense as well. So I understand that some people may want to take a defensive tackle in the first round with the draft pick at 7, but personally, I think and I know I said a lot for you to respond to, so I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
I appreciate it. But I know some people want to take a D tackle, and I wouldn't be mad at that. But I think if we get a wide receiver number 2, we solidify that. Gary's gonna be happy. We got another rookie, and then if we don't, worst comes to worst, if we don't get a quarterback, and I'm gonna trust the regime. I'm gonna trust.
Sure.
I put my faith in what they're going to do. They have a vision, and Aaron Rodgers detracts from that vision as they saw it. So I'm going to trust that. And I'm not going to say Aaron Rodgers is a bum or anything like that. No, he's really good, and I appreciate what he did for our franchise. However, it didn't work. And let's be a year early than a year late. You know what I mean? Because normally what we would do is go run it back again with him in another year and say, let's try one more time. And then I'm sorry, excuse my language, but then he goes and he injures his ankle really bad for like 6 weeks. So we need somebody to come in, and we don't have a qualified backup to come in, or we maybe obviously in this case we got Tyrod. But you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. What do you think, man? I gave you a lot to unpack.
I don't know. You're good, Devin. I have this. I pulled this chart up. You mentioned you're a new listener here. I pulled this up all season long, courtesy of Michael Nania, my guy from Jets X Factor. It's a smaller sample size. I don't know if you could see it. It's on the screen here. From Tyrod Taylor's numbers compared to in 2023, who had 6 starts with the Giants, compared to Aaron Rodgers during the 2024 season. I think that's that chart's pretty much self-explanatory. Tyrod Taylor is literally a 500 quarterback throughout his entire career. Tyrod Taylor, you're telling me, starts 10 games next season. He can go 5-5. He can go 6-4. That's not out of the question. Then, like you mentioned, you get a Will Howard in there. Again, if you're going to draft a rookie, if you're going to draft a rookie on day 3 or day 2, you're going to want to see them at some point. You're not going to want to see them as a starter week 1 of their first season, but you want to see them at some point throughout the season, kind of like what the Patriots did with Drake May. However, he was a top 3 pick. He was the 2nd overall pick. Maybe the Jets could do that with Will Howard, because Tyrod Taylor's not getting you 17 games. I think 10 games is a feasible number. He gets you 5-5, 6-4. Then you see what you have in in Will Howard or whoever the rookie is, if you want to go the veteran route too, and a Marcus Mariota or Andy Dalton, like a 10-7, 9-8 season is not out of the picture just because you moved off a quarterback who won you 5 games this past season, and people automatically forget that he's turning 42 years old in December and just forget about his first 12 games of the season.
And it's been hurt the last 3 years. Each year he's been hurt. I mean, he's played through it, and that's great, but like he's still hurt, and even if he's hurt and playing through it, as we see all this year, it's not beneficial to the team. So yeah, to say that, oh, he's an Iron Man, like I give him credit for that, but that's not necessarily healthy for our team. It didn't benefit us this year. I would have much preferred in the middle of the season have Tyrod come in for like 3-4 games. You know what I'm saying? He would have been good for that.
He could have gone 2-1.
Right. And that's a part of the problem with the culture and the coaching. So you know what?
1000%.
Let me trust in the coaching and see what they can do before I'm going to discredit them here in the not even. We didn't even get to the combine and the folks are discrediting them. I'm like, come on, man. Let's really think about this. Like, what are we saying right now? We were so hyped when we got him, but he makes one decision a tough decision, but it's the first decision that he really had to make the way, people didn't agree with him. Because you didn't agree with it, you're like, oh, no, I don't know if he's going to be right. You better be right. Even if he's right, and say we go next year and Aaron Rodgers goes in and then he wins, say he wins 10 games. Say he wins 11 games. He takes us to the playoffs, right? Oh, and the playoff draft is over. That's great. Awesome. What do we do the year after that? Because we didn't win the Super Bowl. So what are we doing the following year when we're carrying a $63 million cap hit, in addition to the fact that, like, what are we going to do now? You know what I mean? At quarterback. Because you can't keep them. You were keeping them for 1 year. You drafted somebody in the draft because everybody knows that we're going to do that, but you didn't do anything with it. I'm just saying.
Devon, appreciate
I appreciate you, brother. Hey, by the way, just one more thing. I am DNY for life.
There we go. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so appreciate you, man. Appreciate you having me on your platform. And man, continue to put out the awesome content, brother.
Devon, appreciate all your support here on the show. Great call, as always. So happy you were able to find the channel. Looking forward to future calls from you, and I greatly appreciate all your support. A lot of people want in on the conversation. You want to call in, you can do so by clicking the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Throw your questions in there. We'll get to those as well. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel, completely free. Helps us grow significantly. June the GM is next up here on the show. June, what's going on, guy?
What's going on, Connor? Were you able to catch me earlier on Mr. Paul's show, Boy Green?
I watched like the first 20 minutes of his show. Today was the Dart show, right? I woke up late, so I had to watch it on replay.
Okay, so you didn't see me on there.
No, I did not.
Okay,
I did not
cool.
catch your call.
Okay, so I got some information for you, right? And once again, because a lot of dudes be in the comments hating, saying, oh, like I'm freestyling stuff. The information I provide is information that I've read that was delivered from other people. It's not my opinion or what I think. I'm just giving us Jet fans a little bit of information to see, you do your own research on it. There's an interview that you should look at with Rodney Harrison and
Mike Florio. I listened to that earlier today. I was listening to that earlier today about it made some great points from both Mike Florio and Rodney Harrison talking about why Rodgers just simply can't play at the same level anymore than he did 20 years ago.
But did you see when they were talking about Hendon Hooker?
Yep, I saw that video too. Why
I mentioned in the chat, everybody going crazy on me. I said, hey, brother, why not 6'3", 220, cannon of an arm, been sitting with Ben Johnson? Give him a shot. We don't got nothing to lose. We're not going to give up a number 1 draft pick.
Who was a Heisman finalist? Who was going to be a Heisman finalist before he got injured his senior year? Who has an arm, who's able to move, who's able to make plays, so you can run a pro-level offensive system with. That's who Hendon Hooker is. And honestly, Hendon Hooker is Jordan Travis if he was fully healthy and had a higher ceiling. That's who Hendon Hooker is.
Right? He's a bigger man than Travis.
Travis is what, 6 foot? Travis is what, 6 foot, 200?
But he's 6'3", 220. Hooker's 6'3", 220. That's prototypical. Yeah. That's the height you want, 6'3", 6'4" for a quarterback.
Travis is 6'1", 200. I said 6 foot 200. He's 6'1", 200. That's
Who
what
is?
I have him listed. Travis.
Right. I'm saying Hooker's 6'3",
yeah, for sure. That's a traditional quarterback build.
Right, that's a big kid. So, this is my opinion on that. Why not? If we can get him for the low, for a little cheap 5th, 6th rounder or whatever, figure it out. I'd rather give him a shot than all these other old guys they mentioned, and David Carr and unrealistic
Kirk
options.
Cousins.
Yeah, and like Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford's not coming to the Jets.
He's going to go to the
not even-
Giants.
Yeah, he's not coming down here. But here's another thing, another jewel I wanted to give you.
All right.
So I came across this video yesterday, and now I found an article on it. This guy who used to be a booster for the Miami Hurricanes. The guy's name is Jets fans. If you want to research it, see, I'm not Dana Rossini. I'm going to tell you where I got the info so you can research yourself. But GM don't lie, okay? And by the way, the GM is not general manager. It means good money because my word is good money. So check this out. Now listen to this. The guy's name is Nevin Shapiro. Nevin Shapiro got in trouble with the law for doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff. You can do the research on him. He's an old Miami Hurricane booster. Some say he's connected in Miami the way what's up, boy? Adam Scheffler is with the NFL. He's connected in Miami Hurricane land. Okay? He was telling people close to him that rumor is that the New York Jets are trying to work out a deal with Tennessee to trade up for Cam Ward.
Yeah,
Now, like I said, this is coming from that angle. Word is a number 1 this year, and a number 2, a number 1 next year, and perhaps a number 3 or 4. It's a lot. But let me say this, Connor. Let me say this. I don't know if it will work out. It's a hefty price to pay. But if you were to tell me, hey, the kid will work out and be a franchise quarterback, I'd do it with my eyes closed right away.
That's a massive what if, though. Like, for me, it all depends. Yeah.
Everything's what if.
Yeah.
Everything's what if, you know? We don't know what we're going to do. We don't know, right? Nobody knows. All I know is Rodgers walked out the door. It is what it is. Moving forward, this is why I hope the plan. I don't believe that Aaron Glenn and Muji are ignorant enough to let go of Aaron Rodgers and not have a plan in place. That's the part that kind of frustrates me with all the negativity around this decision, because people think that these people don't have no plan. They're just freestyling it. Let's let them go and figure out after. No. They let him go because they already know what they're trying to do. Don't be surprised if Hooker does come down to New York. He has a relationship with not only Aaron Glenn, but with Tanner, the offensive coordinator. So I like that move. Now, let me ask you a question.
Yep.
If you knew we could get a franchise quarterback by trading in the draft, would you do it? And would you like to see Hooker in New York City?
Great call, June. If I knew, there's no guarantee Cam Ward is going to be your franchise quarterback. Where I am at the whole quarterback situation, I don't think anyone in this draft is worthy of trading up for, especially that price for Cam Ward. The quarterback class next year is absolutely loaded. I think you wait until next year to try to make your move with the franchise guy. But for me, I'm instilling my trust in Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn to make this decision. So if they are in love with Cam Ward, then yes, because I trust these people to make these decisions. If I were the GM, though, however, Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn, I would not personally trade up for Cam Ward. I would love to see Hendon Hooker in New York. A lot of it depends on the price, though. Like, I'm not giving up a day 2 pick for Hendon Hooker. I'd give up 2 day 3 picks, though, for Hendon Hooker. A day 3 pick in Jordan Travis. I would give up 2 day 3 picks. I would give up a day 3 pick in Jordan Travis, something like that. So no, generally speaking, to Cam Ward, if that was the package, certainly not. But let's say it was 7 this year. Next year's 2, and then the 27 1. I would do that.
Okay.
I would do that.
But you're stretching it out. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to punt on, because I think I don't want to give up next year's 1 under any circumstance.
I got you.
At all. I don't want to give up next.
I'm looking at it as
that's my baby. Yeah.
The chances of getting a great quarterback is next year, which everybody's saying. Everybody's okay. Let me ask you this. I know there's a lot of hype behind Dart getting drafted in the 2nd, 3rd round. I haven't done an extensive research into the quarterbacks because the combine's coming. I'll be able to analyze the combine better, see how they're doing, aside from the guys who's not only doing pro days. Do you like any day 2 quarterbacks? I like Dart. I'm not in love with Dart. I like Milroe for his athleticism. I heard about the kid from Syracuse. But you know who I do like? You know who I do like that nobody's really talking about? I like the kid from Indiana. I
Rourke?
don't know why. Yeah, I'm not saying this guy's a savior, but if you're gonna be mentioning the kid from Syracuse or Darden and all these guys, I know better conference, but the kid from Indiana had a lot of pressure on him, and Indiana turned it around this year.
Yep.
So you tell me what you think about a day 2 quarterback and who's your favorite?
June, probably among all the day 2 realistic names, Will Howard's my favorite.
Okay,
All the
Ohio
reasons I
State.
list out, experience, you can run a pro level offense with him. He's a winner. He's one of my favorites. I like his athleticism. Deep ball's a little inconsistent. Certainly some things you can improve there, but I would be okay seeing him for 5 or 6 games next season. I'm a big Jalen Milroe fan. McCord is probably I'm a Kyle McCord guy. I'm a huge fan of McCord. I just think he's Jared Goff for me 2.0. In the sense, he reminds me of Aiden O'Connell a little, but Jared Goff is my main comp for him. I think that's a fair comp for Kyle McCord. Athleticism could use some work. Little skeptical of how he would fit in the Tanner Engstrand offensive system, but overall, great velocity. He has a great deep ball. He can add layers and touch to his ball. I'm big on him. As for Jackson Dart, late round 2, I would take him, not early round 2, and certainly not the first round.
I don't like the word I'm hearing, trading back into the first round and giving up a 2.
No, I saw that on boy. I'm not
Wait.
Jackson Dart. I'm not taking unless it's late in the second round. Here are some of my concerns. So I watched June. I finished all the quarterbacks this year. I watched 3 games at every single one. Then I put together a scouting report. I watched 2 to 3 games on each one. So here's some of my concerns with Jackson Dart. He's very slow reading defenses after the snap. That's a main concern with him. Another one is, this is probably my biggest concern with him. The Ole Miss offensive system is very quarterback friendly, and they don't run a pro level offense.
Yeah, it is.
That is
like that.
Exactly, college offense 2.0. And the when he's under pressure, when he's under deluge, he struggles to extend plays. He kind of collapses, and he has above average mechanics when he has time. He has time to make his reads process. But once there's pressure put on him right away, everything goes to waste, and he's like, how do I get the ball out? And sometimes that leads to interceptions. So that's the concern. Those are the main concerns I have there with Jackson Dart.
So from doing your research, you said you checked out all the quarterbacks, 2-3 games. Who's the quarterback that stood out to you that you said has the potential with the proper coaching to be something?
Jalen Milroe.
Will Howard?
Are you talking about the highest upside? Like the highest upside?
Yeah, highest upside.
Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe. But Jalen Milroe also has the lowest floor. That's the concern. Like Jalen Milroe has the highest ceiling, in my opinion, by a long shot. But then he has the lowest floor as well by a long shot. I think the most
reminds me of Milroe. If you really think about it, a little bit
reminds me of Anthony Richardson. That's my comp for him.
Who?
Anthony Richardson.
That's a good comp. I kind of feel like a Justin Fields because all they talk about is his athletic ability with his lack of ability to throw the ball. Here's the thing with Milroe. I've seen him make some crazy throws, though.
He's a video game-like player.
Right. So if we can just teach him how to be a better passer, I'm willing to take a risk on him day 2 or 3. Why not?
The problem is he's such a project. Like you essentially need to take him and teach him how to play the quarterback position because he's an athlete. That's who he is. He's not a quarterback.
Right.
I don't look at him. He's an athlete. So you would need to take him and literally teach him the quarterback position.
You know who also was an athlete?
Who?
Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson
True, but Lamar was a first-round pick
quarterback when he came out of Louisville.
Like at the same time, there's a reason Jalen Milroe isn't being talked about as a first-round pick. Like he's, I'd say, a round 3 or round 4 guy. I think that's where he's ultimately going to be.
What? That's not a bad risk, right?
No, not at all. I take Will Howard over him. I take Howard and McCord over him. But if both those guys are off the board and they want to take a quarterback, I think he's their best bet.
What's interesting is I'm looking forward to see who is Aaron Glenn's type of quarterback, right? Who is Tanner? Like, who does Tanner like? Because he already has somebody in mind that this is the type of quarterback I can work with. That's why I hope it's Hooker. Yeah. At least give him a shot because
it's Will Howard. Through the draft, it's Will Howard without a question. Tanner Engstrand is going to want to implement his pro-level offense. You can do that with Will Howard. And Aaron Glenn said it. He wants a winner. Will Howard's a winner. He just won the national championship.
Well, let's
That's
see.
What it is.
In first round, I want to stay away from a safety in the first round. I also want to stay away from a position. We can draft a defensive lineman because we need help later on in the draft. As a plethora of good defensive linemen in this draft. Mm-hmm. I love Warren. I don't love him at 7, but if we can trade back, pick up
To
a
like
big
11?
pick
Yeah, pick 11.
between
something.
10 and 12, I'll grab Warren because everybody's saying he's not Brock Bowers. You're right. He's a better blocker than Bowers and more physical than Bowers. He's not
He's
as
6'6",
athletic
260.
as Bowers. Right. I love Warren. That's my favorite. That's my favorite player coming into this 2025 draft is Mr. Warren for me.
I'm a big Tyler Warren guy. Another tight end I like is Harold Fannin Jr. The one concern with him though is his size. Harold Fannon's 6'3". I think he's 215 pounds. Let me Fannin height weight. I think
That's
he's
almost like an AJ Brown. It sounds like
6'4", 230. So yeah, I think
Okay.
I think they 6'4", 230 is where they have him. The thing is he's not built like a tight end, but he's speedy. He's able to create separation. He's a great yards after the catch guy. One knock against him though, he's coming from a smaller school, Bowling Green. So that's why
and that's the problem, right? Because my thing is Warren faced top-notch competition and shined in those big games this year.
Well, Harold Fannin had over 100 yards and a touchdown against Penn State.
Right, but he didn't play top competition week in and week out the way Warren did.
Exactly.
Warren,
That's what I said. That's the concern. Why he's not being.
But that's not a bad draft pick on day 2 or 3 though. That's not bad.
Not at all.
In the 3rd round, I grab him too. We definitely need a tight end who can stretch the field. We've been missing that a long time in New York. I haven't had a tight end in New York that I've been excited for since Dustin Keller. That's a little bit before you. But he was a good athletic tight end. They had a lot of potential, but then injuries caught up to him. I would love a tight end who's physical, who can stretch the field. That gives, if we have a young quarterback, a check down. Because aside from the running back, a tight end is a quarterback's best friend.
Agreed. And the Jets are going to need a lot of tight ends. Tyler Conklin, pending free agent.
We need a lot of help, Connor. We need a lot.
A lot of holes. That's why I said it is not like the past 2 seasons where it's all in. You have to get 4 new safeties. You need a few defensive linemen. You need, I think, 3 wide receivers. You need two tight ends at the absolute minimum.
I'm gonna tell you a position of need that we have to cover. I pray to give him a shot. I pray we keep Echoes at the other corner because I always like that. He's
3 years, $15 million. 3 years, $50 million. 3 years,
I love
$15
him.
million.
He's a playmaker. But if we don't cover that situation, we're gonna have to draft a cornerback somewhere in this draft as well. Because if we lose Echoes and we're not signing DJ Reed back, that's another position of need corner, and that's major. And in the AFC, you need corners with those quarterbacks.
1000%. June, appreciate your call. You got any final thoughts?
Nah, man, just keep doing what you're doing. You know, I'm over here. Oh, by the way, Wednesday, the 19th of this month will be the first episode of June the GM. It's going to be 9 p.m.
Okay. You got the
PM?
throw the link to the channel in the chat. I'll pin it and we'll get everyone to sub up.
Yeah, I still don't know how to do that stuff, Connor. I'm learning.
Yeah, are you on Discord?
I am on Discord, yes.
Here, let's see. I'm gonna throw the Discord link, the Discord, the NY Flight Jets Talk Discord link in there.
Got you.
In the chat, and then that's where you'll get my username and message me on Discord, and I'll set it up for you.
Sounds good. I appreciate you, Connor. Keep doing your thing, brother. I'm here.
Of course, June. Appreciate all your support. You're the best.
God bless.
Peace out, ladies and gentlemen. Our guy June, the GM, checking in here on the program. Sub to him. We'll get that out. Help him get that set up here. Great stuff. One of our best callers here on the show for sure. Where are we? Let's see. Oh, Tigo says Eccles 3 years, $50 million. And what we're I was thinking of Jamie and Sherwood. No, Eccles. Tigo, thank you for correcting me here. I sound like a moron when saying that. 2 years, $10 million. That's what I was trying to say. 2 years, $10 million. 2 years, something like that. Thank you for correcting me, Tigo, so I don't sound like an absolute moron. I was thinking of Jamie and Sherwood, like 3 for 15, 3 for 20. Not Brendan Eccles. Thank you for correcting me. Brendan Eccles is not getting 3 for 15. I can guarantee that. Appreciate you all tuning in. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Any questions, throw them in the chat. If you want to call one of the show, click the pinned comment at the top of the chat. We're going to stay on here a little longer, answer your questions, take your calls, but I got to take a quick break, take care of something. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stay tuned here on NY Flight Jets Talk, Saturday, February 15th, 2025. Appreciate all you guys. Appreciate you all sticking with us here on NY Flight Jets Talk. I see the YouTube thing open on the other side. For some reason, my commercial break overlay was not playing there. So sorry, I gotta fix that here. But I appreciate you all sticking with us. Like, share, and subscribe. Completely free. Helps us grow significantly here on the program. You guys are the best. Can't thank you guys enough here on the show. Any questions, throw them in the chat. If you want to call into the show, you could do so by clicking the pinned comment at the top of the chat. We'll keep it going with your calls. Our guy Lay Sal is next up here on the show. Lay Sal, how are you? I got to check out the Let's Talk Jets thing. I will listen to that video after the show.
Yeah. No, because it's basically saying what I want to be saying to Jake Asman and the people on his show, like in 5 minutes. It's a great video to watch because it's kind of like saying like to those people that are being so negative, like why can't you guys just give this whole regime a chance? It's like as soon as the whole thing came out, automatically fire everybody again and stuff, and it's like, yo, it's just so annoying. So so when I watch that video, it's just basically like I'm just watch at the end and like I see that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say to those guys. But it just goes out 1 year, it goes in 1 year out the other pretty much because they're mad for like they have a reasonable reason to be mad, but to just sit there and sulk about it all the past 2 weeks. It's just not gonna help no one. It doesn't even help yourself because it's gonna it's just definitely gonna happen. So it's like why continue to sulk? Just go on, deal with it, and move on pretty much. Like it's what I'm saying. Like just move on. It happened.
Agreed.
Yeah.
1000%. I couldn't agree with you more here.
Yeah.
My one thing to you though, my one thing to you, Lay Sal, is who do you want to be the quarterback next season? Are you going with a Tyrod Taylor type route with some security behind him? What route are you leaning towards? You want to draft a guy and put him in right away? What's in your thought process right now?
My thought process right now is just continue with Tyrod or get a hidden hooker or something. Because definitely I feel the same way you feel. The quarterback class next year is just far superior than this one, and you rather go after a franchise quarterback next year than this year with more chance of getting that great player.
That's what I was saying.
Player, more chance of that. So I would go with either Tyrod Taylor or Hendon Hooker for sure. Or if they go after anybody in free agency, I wouldn't say Justin Fields because he could ask like the one thing people don't talk about is not only gonna ask for the money, he's also gonna ask for the years. He's gonna want to go to a team
who's giving that to him though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He can ask for all he wants. That's what so many people are telling me, that Fields is gonna ask for all this stuff. Who is giving that to him though?
Yeah.
Who is giving him
that's the thing. That's the thing. Like you don't. That's the thing. I think no one like the only team that could probably do that or would do that. It's probably going to be the Steelers, but the Steelers don't even look like they want to keep him. So it's like, man, I don't know. I would just stick with Tyrod and go with a backup, sign a backup or something, and let this year fall as they may, and next year we go after a quarterback. Because the quarterback class in next year is super stacked. So
Yeah. Well, Sal, I appreciate the call. You got any final thoughts?
I hope that the one thing I hope is if Aaron Glenn has a press conference and they talk to that and someone asked a question about the Jet fans being mad about this move, I hope that I don't want him to go at the fans, but I hope that he gives like a subliminal like, bro, you guys need to calm down. I got a plan, but I ain't telling you or something like that. Like I hope that he nips them in the butt a little bit. Like because I feel like that's what this fan base needs. Like you need the coach that like is gonna be super confident and just be like, this is what I'm gonna do. And if you don't like it, then you don't like me.
Lay Sal, you're the best. Appreciate your call.
Peace, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, our guy Lacel checking in here on the show. If you want to call in, click the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Any questions, throw them in. We'll get to those. Super chats cut the line. Every membership gifted or every $2.99 super chat will get you a ticket into our raffle pay way to contribute. Like, share, and subscribe, though. Completely free. Please do it if you haven't already. Guys, we're trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by the draft, and you can be a part of that by completely free, and it helps us just as much as gifted memberships. Our guy Devon DNY for life wants in on our raffle with 5 gifted memberships. Devon, appreciate all your support. As always, William Sprague, Darren the Cop, Lawrence Yance, our guy, the big fella, Motivational Means Media. You are all net members thanks to DNY for life, a.k.a. our guy Devon. Appreciate you. As always, any questions, like I said, throw them in the chat. If you want to call into the show, click the pinned comment at the top of the chat. Let's go over to our most renowned Aaron Rodgers truther, Tigo.
It's not even about being an Aaron Rodgers truther. I know he's not a good quarterback, but neither are the other options. That was the point.
Tigo, would you pay Geno Smith $49 million to be your quarterback next season?
Absolutely not.
So then why would you want to pay Aaron Rodgers? Like, Geno Smith was a better quarterback last season than Aaron Rodgers was. Why would you want to pay him?
Geno was also on a better coached football team.
Okay.
Like,
He was better than him in every metric.
He did look better at him at every metric. He was also
I know,
on a team that was better coached on every metric.
Yeah, but I understand. Before we go to that rabbit hole, though, I see your Kirk Cousins comment. Okay, this is what I have to say to you, Tigo. Do you want to punt on next season? Just yes or no. I don't need the whole diatribe. Just yes or no.
No.
Then why do you want Kirk Cousins? Because signing Kirk Cousins as your quarterback is punting on next season. That's Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn looking at each other and saying, we want someone who's been a starter in this league. We just want to pay someone the vet minimum for cheap. Just get him in here and let's go by the 2025 season. And you're saying that
has to be the plan.
So that you're saying the best option is to punt.
Name a quarterback that we can get on the cheap, because it has to be cheap. We don't have money to go out and spend on a quarterback. Getting rid of Rodgers has hamstrung us this year, and we still have to find a safety in free agency. Sherwood has to come back. Like, we still have to spend money at other positions on the team.
You could free up over $100 million in cap room before re-signing everyone by making reasonable cuts. I went into over the cap, and I did that.
What is reasonable cuts? Who are you cutting?
Max Mitchell, Carter Warren, Jeremy Ruckert.
But you understand that if you cut Max Mitchell, Carter Warren, like Jeremy Ruckert, all of those now become positions that you need to fill. Cutting Max Mitchell and Carter Warren doesn't help this team, because that money that you save is going to go right back into players at that position. So the $1 million that you save from cutting Max Mitchell, you're going to have to spend another $1 million to go and get a backup on the interior of the offensive line. And Max Mitchell, on a side note, because I am a Max Mitchell
is terrible.
He isn't. He graded out really well this year. Go look up the PFF grades. And
PFF grades are an absolute joke.
Look, I just said that. I just said that. But he gave up like 3 pressures, playing 4 different positions on the offensive line this year, behind Keith Carter, one of the worst coached offensive line coaches in the NFL. Like, that's the other thing. Like, again, if you cut Warren, whatever. Cut Max Mitchell, whatever. You're still going to have to spend, $3, $4, $5 million to replace those guys on the offensive line, because you don't have a ton of draft picks. You're not going to be able to replace everything with draft picks. We need 2 safeties. We need 2 tight ends. You need
4 safeties, Tigo, not 2. You need 4.
No, because you can keep some of the guys that are on the roster. That's the point. You can't get rid of everybody.
Only one. I don't think there's not one safety, Tigo, under contract next season. They're all free agents.
No, what are you talking about? Stiggers and Jared Bernard Converse.
Stiggers is a cornerback. So is what's his name? JBC.
No, but JBC was a corner. We drafted him as a corner. He can transition to safety. Like, okay, even
they're
if
not viable starters, though. They haven't shown.
I didn't say that they're viable starters. That's why I said we need 2 safeties. I never said they were viable starters. I said we need 2 safeties.
I think you need 3. Like, if you want to play that game, I think you need 3.
Okay, so even in that world, like the situation gets worse. Yes, you might be able to create $100 million, but you still have to. The amount of holes that we're manufacturing or that you're creating by cutting all of those players, that money is going right back into those players.
Tigo, do you want me to give you 2 cheap? Anyways, the whole reason we got to this point is because we were talking about a cheap option at the quarterback position. I'll give you 2 cheap options that are viable next season. Okay, you have what's his name, Tyrod Taylor, who's on the roster. I think he's cap number $6.8 million next season. Yep. That's cheap. That is cheap.
No, that's probably the answer.
That's cheap for a starting quarterback. Here's another name I would take over not Geno Smith. Kirk Cousins. Here's another name, Marcus Mariota 1 year, $4 million. I think that is a viable combination compared to Kirk
Marcus
Cousins.
You're totally right. Marcus Mariota is not a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins.
You can run a offensive system at the NFL level with Marcus Mariota and not worrying about his leg just collapsing at any second. His arm is not completely broken like we saw with Kirk Cousins last year, and he's not completely immobile.
Dude, I'm not disagreeing with you. I am just saying Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Marcus Mariota. You bring in, and look, I don't even know why we're arguing this. Kirk's not coming. The question was,
I think there's a chance he does. Unfortunately, I do.
Woody doesn't forget. Woody's not a guy who's going to forgive him for making that contract with the New York Jets and then backing out to go to Minnesota. As much as Kirk is the best answer, Kirk's not coming. That was the point I was making. The point wasn't Kirk, go get Kirk. The point is we should want Kirk. League min, he's the best quarterback that's available that's not named Aaron Rodgers in free agency. And he gets you to 2026. And there is a small, very, very small chance you can actually win some games with Kirk Cousins. That is an option.
I think,
but he's not coming.
Tigo, you're telling me, okay, I think this is fair. Let's say Tyrod Taylor starts 12 games next season, right?
Yeah.
You think 6-6 is out of the question? But whatever it is.
No, I just don't think he starts 12 games.
10 games. 10 games.
I don't think he makes 10 games. I think by week 6 you're on your next game. You're on your next QB.
I think he can get.
He doesn't have the body to hold up. He's not going to hold up. Especially on a team that has one wide receiver.
This is what you do then. Okay, if you want to say Tyrod Taylor is going to get you 6 games, this is what you do. You draft a quarterback at that point.
You can't. You have to get to 2026. I'm sorry. None of these guys are going to work out. None of them. None of them have the upside.
What tells you Kirk Cousins? He threw the most interceptions in all of football last year.
I agree. That's the point. We're in this situation and we didn't need to be. We had the perfect bridge quarterback to get to 2026. We moved on from him, and now we're in a situation where we're literally arguing about, do you want this pile of turd or this pile of turd or this pile of turd? They're all piles of turd and they all smell at differing degrees, but which one do you want to do? The one that's going to stop us from drafting the quarterback in 2026? Or do you want to do the one that's going to cost too much money? Or are you going to do the one that's going to cost you future draft picks? They're all turds. So which turd do you want?
Will Howard, drafting Will Howard, drafting a Tyler Shaw, drafting a Jalen Milroe is not going to prohibit you from drafting a Lenora Sellers, an Arch Manning, a Nico, a Drew Aller, a Garrett Nussmeier. They're not.
No, they're not.
So you just
said
they're
a waste of a pick.
Okay, who else would you rather? Okay, let's do this.
Fill out the rest of the roster. We need 2 safeties. We need 2 tight ends. We need a right tackle. We need a wide receiver. We need a linebacker. We need a corner.
You know what's more important than all of those? The most important position in all of sports, and that is the quarterback position.
I totally agree.
So then why wouldn't you take the quarterback in Will Howard? Okay, we're talking
Will Howard's not going to work out. He doesn't project as an NFL starter. Nothing about his game projects as an NFL starter. He was on one of the best offensive lines in football. Over 40% of his passes went to wide open receivers. He's a slow processor. If his first read doesn't work, he fails to get to his second read. In what world? And he's 24. So this idea of projecting that he's going to grow and develop
offensive system with him. He's able to get out of the pocket. He's able to make plays. He's able to move.
But he's
I'm not saying he's a Hall of Fame quarterback.
So was Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson could move and get out of the pocket. That doesn't mean he's a good quarterback.
You couldn't run a pro-level offensive system with him, though.
You can't run one with Howard.
He just ran one at Ohio State with Chip Kelly.
He ran a one read and throw system. He couldn't get to a second read. It's Ohio State, my guy. It's wide receiver. 40% of his passes went to wide open receivers, and then his completion percentage when under pressure went into the ground. He's not going to sit in a clean pocket in the NFL. So again, it comes back to it's a waste of a pick.
I'm not saying he's a Hall of Fame quarterback, but it is worth taking a flyer, I think, on a quarterback at some point in this year's draft.
No, it isn't, because none of them are going to work out. None of them have that ceiling.
How do you know that, though?
Because you can easily project guys. It's not just me. You don't have to take my word on it, but you can project where guys are going to end up. If you can find me, Connor, just find me one scouting resource, like a legitimate scouting resource that has Will Howard's projection as a starting NFL quarterback, that doesn't say backup quarterback or something like a starting NFL quarterback, I will concede and I'll say, okay, maybe. None of these guys have that.
I don't know. Did anyone expect Brock Purdy to come in and take his team to the NFC Championship game? Like we could do that all you want. Did anyone have?
Yeah, but that's Kyle Shanahan. That's a different. We don't have Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan could make you or I work at quarterback. We put Matt O'Leary, 6'6", but behind that offensive line, and he throws for 25 touchdowns, guaranteed. I saw him put. You've seen the video of Matt O'Leary put the ball in the trash can, dude. That's an NFL quarterback to Kyle Shanahan. Don't try to compare the New York Jets to the quarterback whisperer head coach. Like it's just not fair. Like that's just not a good comparison.
Like, that's why it's a flyer. That's why it's called a dart throw. If you were to take a quarterback,
I totally agree. But this class, here's the real issue. When you look at the entirety of this class, do you know what it screams out to me? Depth everywhere. This class is one of the worst quarterback classes. It's second only to the Kenny Pickett year, because that was a horrible class. I don't think we'll ever see a class as bad as the Kenny Pickett.
Was he the only one taken in the first round that year?
At 20. And that was a horrible, horrible year.
And then who went round two? Was Will?
It was Sam Howell and Will. No, it was Sam Howell and Malik Washington, the kid out of Liberty.
Willis.
There it is.
Yeah, I thought you were Willis. I was going to say Willis was supposed to be a first round pick that year.
Well, Willis was supposed to be a first round pick, and so was Sam Howell theoretically, and neither one of them ever did.
Yeah. I thought Willis was going to be a first-round pick that year. Anyway, that quarterback class is terrible.
Was do it at the
Kenny Pickett was traded last offseason for a fourth. I think what was it?
To Philly,
I forgot the deal. It was Pittsburgh gave away Pickett and a third in exchange for a fourth and a third. That's what it was. Yeah. And then Malik Willis was dealt for a 7th rounder last offseason.
Yeah, it was a horrible
Sam
class.
Howell was dealt for a 5th rounder last offseason as well.
Yeah. It was a horrible class. This class is really close to that one.
I think Cam Ward's the only one who has somewhat of a chance to like actually.
I agree. No, I agree. But here's the thing, because you had the right reaction. There are reports. What June was saying is true. There are guys that are really tied into the Miami like booster scene that are saying that the New York Jets, after that rumors have been swirling because a lot of calls have been coming from the New York Jets to Miami, saying that they're building a package to go and get Cam Ward. And now you're like in a situation of, so we're going to go get a quarterback a year early and it's going to cost us multiple ones. Like I don't want that. And I know you don't want that because you don't want to pay multiple ones to go up to Tennessee, but like, he's not lying. That's a true thing. Like that came out that the Jets are in conversations to go get a quarterback. And it's just, that's the whole point. The point is in this class, like the realistic thing is we need two interior defensive linemen. This class is loaded with interior defensive linemen. We need an edge. This class is loaded with edge. We need multiple safeties. This class is loaded with safeties. We need backup corners. This class is loaded with backup corners and loaded with interior and outside offensive linemen to play depth and possible like it's really, really good for like your role players, which is what the New York Jets need a ton of. Mm-hmm. And so the reason I argue kind of against drafting a quarterback is, be real. Do any of these guys have any projection of working year one? No, none of them do. But
again, we're not asking.
The only one.
So
don't waste that because the other players in the 5th round pick.
Games.
No. But it doesn't matter. Will Howard doesn't project to work at the NFL level. So don't use that pick on a player that doesn't project to work at the NFL level. Because at that pick in the 5th round, let's say, you know who's going to be there? An offensive lineman who could literally be a plug-and-play guard. Just immediately come in.
In what round?
Like, let's say the 5th round. That's probably where Will Howard ends up going.
Colby, maybe from he's a guard from Iowa.
No, but that's what I'm saying is there are other players that are better value that project better A fifth
I have
round
to see how the
safety will
draft shakes up.
immediately start.
Like
Will
I
immediately
agree,
start.
like an Elijah Clark from Syracuse, an Upton Stout, an RJ Mickens. If you want to talk day 3, I understand. For me, it depends. Like when you're talking about taking quarterback, it depends who else is on the board. Like if it's, I'm making this up. If it's it's in the fourth round, and it's my options are Will Howard and David Walker, the edge rusher out of Central Arkansas, who I think is a top 10 edge rusher in this year's class. I'm going to take David Walker just for the overall positional value. Like it depends,
because at least there's a projection and at least there's a world in which David Walker provides you value year 1. That's the thing. I still believe, as much as I dislike the moves and the decisions that Muji and Glenn are making, I still believe that if this team is coached well and we can find a quarterback, that we can win a ton of games next year. The problem, and this is why I think I'm upset, is unless Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn know something that we don't, I don't see a quarterback shaking free that will come to the New York Jets and do that for us. There just isn't one. The idea of trading for Hendon Hooker, kill me now. The idea of going back and begging, not begging, but like that Kirk Cousins would come to the New York Jets is like, that's not going to happen. This idea that we're going to somehow be the 5th team that's passed on Justin Fields to finally make him work. This idea that Sam is going to come back, like
that's not happening. I'm telling you right now, Sam's not coming back.
It's not. But this idea that we're going to trade for JJ McCarthy, like that makes some sense in any world of, like, there just isn't, again, unless there's something that they know that we don't know, the things and the plans that we can come up with, because Connor, you're an intelligent guy. I'd like to believe I'm an intelligent guy.
You are.
We can both see what the market is going to look like. You and I can both agree. He's not a free agent yet, but Derek Carr is going to squeak free. I think you and I both know that.
Kill me.
I'm not saying that we want
Derek
Carr.
No, I understand.
But
like, kill me though. If
we
Derek
can at
Carr
least
is the
project
answer,
that.
oh my, yeah, we know Derek Carr. Is it even guaranteed though that Kirk is going to shake free from?
Yeah. No, it's not, because I think they're
Atlanta?
going to try to trade him. But if he makes it past, I think it's 3 days of the new league year, his 2026, part of his 2026 salary becomes guaranteed. So they like kind of need to move on from him.
Okay.
It's like that's the whole thing. His 2025 salary is guaranteed. And I believe the reason that they would move is because if he's on the roster after 3 days of the new league year, I think like 10 or 15 million of 2026 becomes guaranteed. I think that's how it is. I might be confusing his contract with Carr's contract, but I think that is Cousins' contract because Carr doesn't have any more money guaranteed in his deal.
And they're going to move on from him because Kellen Moore's I think it's going to be Rattler as their starter next year with like you probably draft a guy, maybe another guy, and maybe sign a free agent. I think both
they're going to try to suck at football really, really hard this year.
Yeah. I still stand in that boat though, Tigo. Like if you want to put your team in the best, I know you don't like Justin Fields. In my opinion, though,
not a good quarterback, and he's not worth the $15 million you're going to have to pay him.
If he says 1 year, $8 million, what do you say?
He's not going to say that. He took $10 million last year. And his agent's going to say, like, hey, I looked $10 million last year, and I won 4 games. And we both know that's a lie, but...
My thing, though, Tigo, who is going to pay Justin Fields that amount of money?
That amount of money, if the Giants miss out on one of these quarterbacks, they would pay him that amount of money. There is an outside shot that Kellen Moore would go to New Orleans and say we can move on from Derek Carr, and he's no Jalen Hurts, but maybe you can say New Orleans maybe finds a way to pay him that kind of money because again, like that kind of makes sense. San Francisco still hasn't signed Brock Purdy. Who knows? Maybe he wants to go to San Francisco. The Minnesota Vikings, we don't know if they're ready, fully committed to move on. The Los Angeles Rams seem like they're kind of done with Stafford. there are a ton of teams out there that need a quarterback. Like, it's not just the New York Jets. And there are a ton of teams out there that could get an upgrade at quarterback. Like, you could convince me, if you're Borgonzi and you don't look at these quarterbacks and see any of them being really all that good, you could give Justin Fields $15 million for 1 year because they have the cap space and say, compete it out with Will Levis, knowing full well that you're going to win 3 games next year. And then you're going to have the pick of the quarterbacks in 2026. Like, and then you get to also walk away with Abdul Carter, which is like the only like legitimate.
The Jets are not drafting Abdul Carter.
No, I'm talking Tennessee.
Okay.
Tennessee, instead of getting the quarterback this year, they could take Abdul Carter.
I think Tennessee's going to take Hunter.
Either way, whichever one, right? You can, instead of taking the quarterback this year, which is not a good quarterback class, you can convince a fan base Justin Fields and Will Levis are going to battle it out for the quarterback spot. Everybody knows that those two are only going to win 3 to 5 games, which is perfect because that puts you in a spot to walk away with Travis Hunter, a legitimate cornerback 1, and you're going to be in the top 5 picks next year, and you're going to have probably your pick of the quarterback that you want in 2026. That's what the New York Jets should want, is to get to 2026. You can't take a
quarterback. Cam Ward, you don't trade up for. Like, if he's there at 7,
take him.
Different world. Him right away. But you don't.
Different world entirely. He's not making it to 7, though.
No. He's going to go in the top 3. You don't give up assets to trade up for. I'm telling you, if the Jets get Cam Ward, if they trade up and get him, that is Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn. That's who they are betting on as their franchise guy. Compared to waiting to next year where you have Garrett Nussmeier, Drew Aller, Lenora Sellers, Arch Manning, Nico.
The list goes on. Carson Beck going back to school to Miami. You want to get to 2026. Like, this is my whole point. Like, I think now you're starting to understand why I kind of wanted Rodgers to stay. It's because I know
agree,
that he wasn't necessarily but he was willing, from all of the reports that were coming out, all of this idea that he wasn't willing to learn a new system, that he wasn't willing to give money back. Like, there were things that we could have done. Like, hear me out here, Connor. Also, before we get into that, can we stop acting like the cap isn't going to explode? It saw a 13% increase last year. We added 2 international games this past year. We're adding 2 international games this year. There's already conversation of 2 more international games being added next year. We're already starting to see inklings of the 18th game, which is absurd, but we all know it's going to happen. The cap is going to continue to explode. And why is it that of the 32 NFL football teams, the New York Jets are the only one that can't operate behind a tight cap? Like, that was also my biggest thing. Like, it's like, first of all, it's not that tight of a situation in 2026. And even then, even if it is a tight situation in 2026, why is it that 31 other NFL franchises can operate with a tight cap space for 1 year, but the New York Jets are the only one that can't? Why is it that, like, to me, it's like, oh, I don't have faith in this coaching staff or this general manager to do their jobs. It's like, isn't that their job to maneuver and understand the cap well enough to adjust in a situation where it's a tight cap hit? That's a completely different tangent. But, like, let's pretend in this world. And I think that you and I can agree on one thing. I mean, I'll ask you, do you believe that our coaching staff is a good coaching staff, that they can get us wins
now,
right now?
I don't know.
Of course, I don't know, but that's what I'm saying. Do you believe that they can?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I do too. I think that there is a likelihood, and I believe a high likelihood, that because you and I, we raved about Tanner Engstrand. I wanted Tanner Engstrand. I didn't even consider him because I didn't think
we were talking about him. We were talking about him the other, and then you texted me the thing on Twitter after they were talking about him being a strong candidate, and then because nobody was talking about him when we mentioned him,
because everyone I think just believed he was going to go to Detroit. I didn't even consider him an option. He was my number 1.
And everyone thought Nick Caley was going to be the Jets OC no matter what sign sealed. It was going to be Caley and Wilkes. Since the day they hired Glenn, it was going to be Caley, Wilkes, and Westhoff. That's what the trio was automatically.
Exactly. And okay, so again, I think we're in agreement. I think you and I agree that there is at least a possibility that I have a belief that this coaching staff can be a good coaching staff.
Yeah.
And some of the stupid, and I mean absolutely stupid mistakes that we were making last year, we're not going to go away, but they would get better.
Yeah.
Right? A former DB as head coach, I think, can fix Sauce Gardner Holding. I don't know about you, but I think.
And could potentially, maybe because DJ Reed, it was like a sure thing he was gone at the end of the year. Maybe he has a nice conversation with DJ Reed and you somehow work anything to get him back. Who knows?
Maybe. I think not, because we're going to play a little bit more man.
He's going to be high paid. I think he's going to go to Detroit. I think he's actually going to go to Detroit.
I think the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay, I could see it.
I know it's a schematic fit that doesn't necessarily work, but I just feel like
I think the Jets
it's
are
a
gonna,
personality thing that would work.
yeah,
You know what I
I
mean?
think the Jets and Lions are going to do like a little free agent trade. I think the Jets are
Yeah.
going to sign Carlton Davis, and I think the
Yep.
Lions are going to get DJ Reed. I think
That would be-
that's
that'd be-
something to look out for.
That would be interesting. Carlson Davis is. I think like we also get like Levi Onwuzurike. I think he comes to
Yeah.
the New York Jets. There's a couple of guys from Detroit.
Oh,
that
what's
I think
that?
can come.
I have a few Lions fans in the chat. Tigo, they were saying Brock Wright, the tight end, as
Yeah.
is he a free agent? The thing is, I have seen nothing from him. He's 26 years
Yeah,
old.
you know
Had
what he
just
would
under
be?
100 yards. He's just too. That tight end room is clogged there, so he's got no opportunity.
No, he's got no opportunity. And the reality is that he would just kind of be like your Kenny Aboa replacement.
Yeah, or
Like,
in that
world-
scenario, I'd rather go Mo Alley Cox, the free agent from the Colts.
But I'm just talking about like he's familiar with the offense. He's a guy who can
Mhm.
come in and
play special
be
teams,
like-
block. Yeah,
block, but not just that, but just like help spread what the vision is. And like there's not a ton of those guys on the offensive side of the ball. Before we get off track, but like Kevin Zeitler, the guard from Detroit,
I
watch
wanted him
out.
last offseason. I wanted
did
him
too.
last offseason.
But like, watch out, because that makes some sense. Because like, if you come in and you say, okay, we're not going to be able to get a right tackle in free agency, but we have AVT, and he's only making $15 million, and he played right tackle relatively well.
Dan
Kevin
Skipper,
Zeitler-
too. Another one. Their sixth offensive lineman, Dan Skipper.
Yep, but he's more of a backup. He projects more as like a. But again,
I mean,
bring him
get
in
back
because
to-
we just
yeah.
lost. Who's the the center that Green Bean loves him so much? He
Connor
wants to build a shrine.
McGovern.
No, the other one, Wes Schweitzer, because he's
Oh,
gone,
yeah.
and we
He
need
can't
a
play
backup in
center.
theory.
He's a guard. He's a guard.
Yeah, he played both.
But you don't want to see him at center. That's the thing.
No,
Like,
no,
that
no,
was
no,
no
but-
reputation.
yeah,
You
yeah.
don't want to. Dan Skipper though is someone like if you don't want to draft another right tackle, you want to bring Morgan Moses back. That
I
could be
wanna
a
do that.
combo at right tackle. Like,
Yeah,
I
but
would-
not as a starter.
I would. My best scenario though at right tackle is you draft Ariante Urser in the third round, the tackle.
Would love it.
And then you re-sign Morgan Moses 1 year, $4 million.
I would love-
1 year, $6
I would love the
million
offensive
to do it.
tackle out of Oregon because I think you can get him in the
Anaje
fourth.
Cornelius,
Something like that.
Yeah, something like
Like
that.
you can
yeah.
get it because you can get him in like the third, the fourth, or the fifth round, and I think he's plug and play. I think he comes right in and plays at right tackle. That's besides the point. We're getting off track.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the original scenario. We're pretending here, right? Let's pretend we both agree. We believe that this coaching staff can be a good coaching staff, right?
Mhm.
Beautiful, fantastic, awesome. Now, let's keep it going. Let's say we do bring back Aaron Rodgers, but the biggest concern is going to be the money situation. And you go to Aaron Rodgers and you say, Aaron, you said that you're willing to give money back, and you also said, I would love to, June, but
Yeah,
that's
that would be fun, Tico.
It would be
We'll
fun.
talk about that off air.
yeah, you got my
Yeah.
number. We'll text.
Yeah.
You go to Aaron Rodgers, no big dicks, no egos, no nothing. And you say, hey, Aaron, you said in the past, you come to this situation, you said you don't want your New York Jets tenure to end the way that it did. We don't want it to end that way either. We want to win things here in New York with you. But you also said that you'd be willing to give money back and that you'd be willing to teach a young quarterback.
Do
Are
we know
those
that,
things
though?
true? No.
Exactly. That's the question.
I'm Glenn. I'm pretending to be
Yeah,
Glenn.
yeah.
I don't got the deep
Here we go.
gravitas, but
Yeah.
are those things true or was that just bullshit? In my opinion, as Rodgers now, I'm gonna go to be Rodgers. I think all of that was true.
Okay.
I think he was willing to do that because nothing tells me that it isn't true, right? So, okay, if that's the case, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna redo your contract. We're gonna give you 2 years. Why are we gonna give you 2 years? Because we're gonna give you 2 years because we can spread out the cap hits and all the dead money and all that stuff into not just 2026, but into 2027 and into 2028. And it gives us an opportunity. 1 year, we can see what you have in 2026. And in 2026, Aaron, I need you to fundamentally understand we're trading up for a quarterback. It's going to happen. If you win the Super Bowl and we get 32, we're going 32-1. We're getting a quarterback in 2026. And he's not going to push you for a starting job. But we're getting a quarterback in 2026. And in that world, it all works out. Because Aaron comes back. You've now alleviated, not gotten rid of, but at least alleviated the cap situation because instead of it being a 2026 cap hit, it can be a 2027 cap hit. And like we just talked, the cap is going to keep going up.
That's
So
why-
the numbers of
yeah.
today get smaller. And let's say it does work out. Well, 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers can come back and teach. What's a name? Pick any of the quarterbacks for the 2026 class that we're going to go get. Who is it? Way too early prediction.
Lenora Sellers.
Lenora Sellers is the guy that the New York Jets go and get. Well, now Lenora Sellers gets to sit behind Aaron Rodgers and in 2027 take over from Aaron Rodgers. And now we've moved on.
That's the thing. And again, this is what I have to say. That isn't a perfect world. I agree with that.
Of course.
And you're acting, when you said that, you were acting like I didn't want that. I know you listen to the show, which I appreciate. You're always in the chat. You know that I was a big proponent of, I wanted Aaron Rodgers back if he was willing to learn a modern day offensive scheme with Tanner Engstrand. From what we know, and he was willing to significantly reduce his salary. The thing is, let's say, okay, even if he said, I am willing to learn a modern day offense, there's a world where Tanner Engstrand looked and said, I can't run my offense with him. Because
why? What does he do?
He's immobile. He's 42 years old.
Jared Goff isn't mobile.
What? He's not 42 years old.
But no. Now he's 41. He's 41. Not 42.
He's turning 42 in December. Whatever. Beyond the point. We can't just automatically assume. Like, I went back and I looked at the offense from San Diego State. I looked at the XFL offense. I'm looking from when Tanner Engstrand called plays. I think there's going to be something from Ben Johnson. I hope there's some flares from what we saw in Detroit the past few seasons. But I don't want to automatically just guarantee that what we saw in Detroit the past few years is what Tanner Engstrand's going to implement with the Jets. Because I don't think that's a sure thing, because he was not calling plays.
I think, no, but here's the thing. You're more likely going to see what he did, what Detroit was doing, not what was happening in San Diego State and in the XFL, because those are different systems. You have much less quarterback level of play, so you tend to use more athletic quarterbacks, and you run essentially a fake wildcat. We're not going to see that at the NFL level. What we can expect from Tanner Engstrand is a lot of run, a lot of play action, and throws over the middle and all of those
Rodgers
things.
runs
right?
play action out of the pistol. He can't go under center. At least from what we saw last season, he didn't go under center.
No. Aaron Rodgers, that's not an Aaron Rodgers quirk. That is a Todd Downing and Nathaniel Hackett.
You see how many
quirk.
times he audible out of plays, though? Like,
Okay, but yes, you can have a conversation with him to not audible out of plays. Totally. And also, like, I kind of get why you're audibling out of plays when Todd Downing and Nathaniel Hackett are the one calling your plays. Like, I think you and I they were running Madden playbooks. You and I could come up with better playbooks.
It was so predictable. It was so...
And I think I sent you, or at least I don't know if I can actually send you, but that wasn't just on the offensive staff. That was actually a big part of the head coach.
Yeah, we spoke about this. Yeah,
yeah. That was a big part of the head coach, and they were forcing that on them. But like, here's the point. The point is people like to say, oh, he doesn't like to run play action. He ran play action last year. 26% of the New York Jets plays were play action.
Though it wasn't under center.
No, yeah, but again, that's a Todd Downing thing. How many play action plays did the commies run? They did. Did Jaden Daniels do a single thing out of under center?
Jaden Daniels is a 23-year-old athletic quarterback who's a freak. Who's a run-and-gun type player who you have to worry about him, beating you with his legs and his insane arm strength. That's not Aaron Rodgers at this point in this career.
No. But what I'm saying is this idea that you have to run the play action from under center is just not true in today's modern day NFL. Most offenses, especially if you were just saying you want a modern offense doesn't operate from under center. A modern offense operates from the shotgun.
A modern offense also doesn't contain a 41-year-old quarterback who couldn't run to save his life last year and finished bottom 10 in every metric except yards and touchdowns.
Yeah, but it also doesn't take into consideration the worst coach football team in the NFL and the fact that now we're dead and gone now we're dead in the water. Now we're having to sit here and argue between Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, and Hendon Hooker.
Okay, again, the options aren't all that pretty, but for the long-term future of this team, I think moving on from Aaron Rodgers is the best option.
Significantly impacts us negatively. It doesn't.
But next year, okay, you're focusing on next year.
No, I'm not. I'm focusing on the long-term future because I have this gut feeling because there's too many things coming out of the Miami University. And it's way too early, but there's too many things coming out of Miami University to think that the Jets aren't going to go get Cam Ward. And I think you and I both think that's a mistake. And if they go and get Cam Ward, I believe in Cam Ward and I like Cam Ward. But Cam Ward is not a guy who's ready to come in and just take us to the project to the
You
promised
you
land.
don't give up you don't give up this
But
year's first and
you
another
will
first.
have to if that's the
No, but
plan.
you don't trade up for Cam Ward. That's not.
I
the right plan.
agree, but what if they do, Connor? That's if we're looking at all of the solutions, that's the best one. And I hate that plan. And now you're talking about you're not going to have a first round pick on. So now you're not going to have a first round pick next year. You're not going to have a second round pick this year. You're probably not going to have a second round pick next year.
But why is it
And
a
so
foregone
where are you
conclusion
gonna
now
build
that the
this
Jets
team?
are trading up for Cam Ward? Like, why are we just acting like this is official?
I'm not saying that it's official, but Connor, give me if you're Aaron Glenn and you're Darren Muji,
Yes.
what is the real real? Because don't say Hendon Hooker, right?
No,
The
he's not the
real
freaking-
solution at quarterback that's better than trading up for Cam Ward. There isn't one. That's the best answer.
But are you talking about win now, or are you talking about balancing the future? Like, there's context here.
Both. You have to do both. You have to
I
do
think
both.
Tyrod Taylor, with a combination of another veteran behind him, gives you the best opportunity to win now. Which I'm not saying it's a great plan, but it gives you the best opportunity to win today,
Totally.
in my opinion.
Totally. But we don't have the money for that.
You don't have the money to.
We don't have the money to go and get another veteran quarterback.
You don't have the money to pay Marcus Mariota $4 million next season.
Okay, but that's okay.
Or Taylor Heineke.
Can you
2.5
define veteran
you-
quarterback? Can you define that? Are we talking about career backup? Not career backup because he started in Tennessee for a little bit, but like, are
Marcus
you talking
Mariota,
about like,
someone
because
who's,
like you
someone who's been a starter for at least one season in the NFL. So you're telling me
so
the Jets
Fields is a veteran quarterback at that point. Fields isn't going to win you games.
I
Zach
said
Wilson
several
is a
seasons, my
veteran
bad.
quarterback, but he's not going to win you games.
When I say veteran quarterback, when I say veteran quarterback, I mean like a Marcus Mariota. I mean,
Yeah, but
and,
he's not good.
who else is better? Like that's the,
Like
like
that's the point. That's the whole.
that doesn't
point.
mean you pay Aaron Rodgers $43 million next season, though. That-
You don't have to push part of that 43 into 2027. Like there
Oh,
are things that you could have done around it. The whole point was to get to 2026. Who cares about the quarterback of 2025? Honestly, what quarterback gives you the best opportunity at wins? I think the correct answer was Aaron Rodgers.
It was,
But
but
besides that, forget about that point. We want to get to 2026. That's the quarterback class. And we're not going to do it because this year we're going to trade up for Cam Ward, or you're going to take freaking Jackson Dart in the second. And now we're going to pass on Patrick Mahomes because we have Hackenberg. And it's just like, dude, none of those solutions are good. Or you're going to overpay for Justin Fields. It's just.
You're saying the Jets don't. I want to just go back to the point you said the Jets don't have enough money to pay about. So you're telling me they don't have enough money to pay Taylor Heineke $2.5 million?
Is Taylor Heineke going to win you football games, Connor? I can throw names out
No,
there too.
I never
We
said
can pay
like,
Jared Stidham $1 million to come in, but he's not going to win you football games.
what's the
Jared
guarantee
Stidham's
that?
gonna
What
cost
is
you
the
$1 million.
guarantee that Aaron Rodgers does though? There's more to the picture, but you just won 5 games with the guy.
Under the worst coach team in football. So
Understood,
if you
but you
look
still
at
won 5 games. You still won 5 games.
Projection. Let's
You can do the
project
what
wins
ifs. You can do the what ifs, but you still just won 5 football games with the guy as your starter.
with the worst coached football team in the NFL. Can we
Agreed,
stop
but you
pretending
still-
like that doesn't matter?
I've acknowledged that 27 times in the past.
But you
30
keep
seconds.
ignoring it in your point. We would have won 8 to 10 games last year if we were well coached. Hell, if we
We
had a
can do the
GM
what
who
ifs.
gave a crap and we had a kicker, we win 7 games last year.
We-
If we had a kicker, just a kicker, we win 7 games last year.
We can do the what ifs, but you still only won 5 games. You can do the what ifs all you want and then all the crazy statistics, but you still won 5 games as someone who measured out to be a below average quarterback last season.
Okay, and you know who else was a below average quarterback last season?
Who?
Patrick Mahomes, and he was in the Super Bowl. Why are we talking like quarterback? Like, why are we talking like coaching doesn't matter? If Patrick Mahomes would have gone to the New York Jets, if Patrick Mahomes, or is a part of Patrick Mahomes' success Andy Reid? If Jalen Hurts doesn't sit a year behind behind Carson Wentz and get time to develop. Is Carson Wentz a Super Bowl winner? Well, Carson Wentz is a Super Bowl winner, but is Jalen Hurts a Super Bowl winner right now? No. Like, coaching matters. Situations matter. If Jordan Love doesn't sit behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years, is he one of the better quarterbacks in the NFC? Did anybody predict that Sam Darnold going to the Minnesota Vikings was going to work? No, he was losing at camp to JJ McCarthy before his ACL popped, and he took the Vikings to a playoff win. When Sean McVay was done, the offensive mastermind of this generation said, I cannot win with Jared Goff. The Detroit Lions took a shot on him, and they took him to they were the best team in the NFC this year.
Let's pull this. There's context here, Jimmy. I'm just going to acknowledge this comment. There was a good defense.
Yeah, they had a way better defense.
That's what I'm
because we had a top three
trust me,
defense.
that's not defending Rodgers. I didn't think Rodgers was good last season. I'm just gonna call it how it is. But there's more to the picture there. Like, that was a top Tico. I think that was a top 5 defense that year. The 2022 year.
We went 31, 5, 3, and then like 19 this year. Those were the 4 years of Saleh, the defenses.
That makes sense.
I think it was 31 or 32. Then it was like 5 or 6. Then it was 2 or 3. And then it was like 18, 19.
The
like
2022 year, though, was like,
and then boom.
Yeah, that year where you won 7 games with Zach, though, like, that was, what were you, 6-4, 5-3, something like that? Like, the first 8 or 10 games into the season, and then you just collapse. I don't know, man. The bottom line
that's my point. Like, it's like coaching matters. Zach Wilson won 7 games, and we know how bad Zach Wilson is, and that was because our defensive coaching was good. We didn't have good offensive coaches, but the defensive coaching was good. We never got to marry both coaching staffs being good. And again, like, my point isn't even to argue the Rodgers thing anymore. Like, it's past. We're not going to keep Rodgers. That's fine. But like, I hate it when people come in and try to have a conversation and rewrite history, or like rewrite the things, like saying like he didn't like to throw over the middle. 50% of his passes this year came over the middle.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying, like, people, he doesn't like to throw over the middle. 50% of his passes came over the middle. Oh, he doesn't like throwing to tight ends. Tyler Conklin was our 4th highest targeted pass catcher this year, and he was only 10 targets behind Sam Laporta.
He should be 2nd or 3rd.
No, because Sam Laporta was 3rd in Detroit. If we're going to compare,
I thought you meant on the team. I thought you meant on the team where he ranked among pass. Like, I thought you meant he was the 4th. He was the 4th most targeted player on the team.
Yeah,
he should have been 3rd.
No. Breece Hall was 3rd. Who would you rather catch passes, Breece Hall or?
I thought you were talking about just pure pass catcher.
Pass catchers, period.
Oh, that makes
all
sense.
Of
that
them.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
It goes Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, Breece Hall, Tyler Conklin. Do you know what it was in Detroit? Their pass catchers in order was Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs. It's literally the same list.
I would have guessed Laporta would have been. I would have guessed Laporta would have been 2nd among.
Not even close to being 2nd.
Wow.
He's like 15 targets off from 2nd. Their number 1 target was Amon-Ra St. Brown. You know what? Jets' number 1 target last year by a large margin was Garrett Wilson. Garrett was targeted more times than Amon-Ra St. Brown. Then it went Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams should get targeted more, was targeted way more than Jamison Williams. And then you look at Sam Laporta and Jahmyr Gibbs, and then you look at Breece Hall and Tyler Conklin. Their target numbers are kind of close. So this idea that he didn't like throwing to tight ends, that he doesn't like throwing up the middle, that he didn't run play action, he did all of those things this year. All of those things this year at numbers comparable to what Detroit did last year. Detroit ran more play action. Don't get it twisted. I think they ran it like 30-something% of the time. But
and they also ran so much 12 personnel.
Absolutely. But do you know what the league average is for play action? It's 25%.
22. I was going to say 22, yeah.
It's 25%. We're right there. We're league average. Also, why does play action matter all that much? Do you know what the average is for the Eagles run like 0 play action? Like 0 play action.
Yeah, but they have a mobile quarterback.
Hey, comparing to the Eagles is not fair. I'm just saying you can have a modern offense without play action, without pre-snap motion, because they don't do either one of those things all that much. I think it's pre-snap motion actually that where they just don't do pre-snap motions at all, and it doesn't matter because you're not going to cover everybody. I said it in a different show. I think I might have said it with you, Connor. The Eagles are I think the best built sports team in the history of sports.
I think you said it with Gunny.
I think I might have said it with. I know I said it with Green Bean. Whenever it was, I don't think we'll ever see a team as well built as the Philadelphia Eagles
They were my Super Bowl pick at the start of the year.
ever
Go
again.
back and rewind it. They were my Super Bowl pick.
I was never going to bet against Patrick Mahomes.
You can't look at the talent though.
No, I agree with you.
Roster is just
Dude, I don't disagree.
From quarterback to long snapper, they have the most stacked roster in all football.
I just said it. I agree with you. I don't think I totally agree. But I think that off of a two-peat, it's hard to bet. It was hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes. Like, you just carry that momentum. The Taylor Swifties, the Zebras were going to get involved. Like, you know what I mean? There was too many things going against the rest of the NFL. And I dislike Philly very, 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 very much. So my hatred for Philly outweighs
for sure. Tigo,
my hatred for Kansas City.
Tigo, I appreciate the call. What were we on for over 30 minutes talking Aaron Rodgers, talking Jets? Appreciate you hopping on as always. You got any final thoughts?
Again, I hope that there is some quarterback succession plan out there that we're not seeing, because that's ultimately what I'm scared of. I'm scared of the trading up for Cam Ward. I'm scared of the trading back into the first for Jackson Dart, and now you're stuck with a guy that I don't project to be all that good, when in next year's class there's going to be 6 or 7 guys, and then we're in another situation where you pass on Mahomes for Hackenberg.
Hope that's not the case, Tigo. Appreciate you checking in. As always, follow him on YouTube. Subscribe to him, one of the best Jets content creators at Talking Jets with Tigo. We're going to wrap up here soon. Any final chance to get your questions in the chat? Final chance to call into the show by using the pinned comment in the top of the chat. You guys are the best. Over 2 hours here on this Saturday morning. So appreciate it. I can't thank you enough for all your support. Like I said, last chance to get your questions, comments, thoughts in here on the show. We're going to wrap up shortly on this Saturday afternoon edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. Very, very long show today. And I'm happy to see you guys are engaged. Appreciate it. Any suggestions, guys, you want to see on the show, throw them in the chat. Next week, these next 2 weeks, guys, we're doing the show daily. If you guys haven't seen that, Austin LA, I see your super chat. Don't worry, I'm going to get to that in a little. I see everything. What was I going to say? We're doing the show daily now. If you guys couldn't tell, we're pretty much doing the show daily. And over the next 2 weeks, we have like a stacked guest list coming up. We're talking about some of the biggest NFL analysts, 2 huge NFL analysts / insiders, a former player, and 3 main beat reporters that are coming on the show over the next 2 weeks. So stay tuned for that. You want to join the Discord? I'll throw the link back in the chat. It's not in the description, but I'll throw the link back in the chat if you guys want to join our Discord, where you'll get the opportunity to ask these people questions before everyone else. And that's where you'll find out about the actual names I'm interviewing. I'll let you guys know there later today. So join the Discord if you haven't already, completely free. Great way to help support the show. Awesome LA. Here you go. Sal, here's your $5 super chat. Like how many guys making it seem Aaron Rodgers at 40 equals Tom Brady at 40? They're just different players. And also, Tom Brady just had longer success. I appreciate the $5. By the way, Sal, 5 more raffle tickets for you. Not 5. However many I'll add it up at the end of the show, how many raffle tickets that is for you now on the month. Tom Brady just overall down the stretch of his career, he just played better towards the latter end. Overall, that's what Tom Brady was. Listen to Harlan Abraham, guys. Come on, hit that like button, support the show. 47 of you guys on YouTube. 42 likes. Like the video, please, please, please. Helps us spread out the show to multiple, throughout the entire YouTube algorithm, completely free. Helps us grow so much. And then hit subscribe, guys. Please hit subscribe right near the like button. Right near the like button. It's also free and helps us grow so much. We're trying to get 2,000 subscribers. I started the draft. And Jay Lauren in the building. Connor, there was a possible scenario floated around about trading with KC with all these swaps. Jets end up with 7 and 31 in round 1. Take Dart. I don't think it's smart. Again, I'm under any circumstance, I'm not taking Jackson Dart until the late second round. So no, thank you. No, thank you. Awesome LA says, what is your opinion on the New York Post article that came out about A-Rod? To me, I think it's BS. I don't think he was begging the Jets to come back. I'm going to be honest. I'm in that same boat as you. Sharon, appreciate you tuning in, channel member in the building. I think McCord will be better than Dart or Milroe. It's a crapshoot, so I don't know. If I had to make a prediction, I think among those 3 names, McCord is probably going to be the best. But there's still so much unknown. It's a crapshoot. J-Lep, Celtic Field is going to be affordable. Tyrod cannot last as long enough into the season to be relied on. You're telling me Tyrod starts 10 games, Field starts 7, you're not going 10-7? To just guarantee you can't make the playoffs with those 2. Splitting time at the quarterback position. I think that's crazy. I just think that's overall an asinine take. Appreciate you all tuning in. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Last chance to call into the show with the pin comment in the chat. Last chance to get your questions in. We're gonna wrap up here soon. Over 2 freaking hours here on this Saturday afternoon. You guys are the best. You guys are the ones who make this possible. Like I said, join the Discord. I'm gonna throw that link in again, where you get the opportunity to ask these exclusive guest questions before everyone else. And some of these interviews are pre-recorded, so you guys, even if you're not in the Discord, then you might not even have the opportunity to ask them questions live, and you'll find out about the interview after it's already happened. So guys, join the Discord, completely free, great way to support the show, interact with so many other Jet fans, receive exclusive channel updates. Appreciate all you guys. You'll find out plans. We're going to do a draft watch party. I think that's pretty much been made official now. You guys seem to really want it, so we're going to do that. We're getting some guests finalized for that. We're going to have a bunch of other content creators on, so you'll find some exclusive details about that before everyone else. A lot of fun stuff coming up here on the show. That's what I got to say. You guys are the ones who make this possible. You really are, and I can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough. Harlan says you do get some good guests. Harlan, I appreciate it. That's the goal. That is the goal. Anyone you guys want to see on the show, throw it in the Discord, throw it in the live chat now, and we'll try to make it happen. Any guest you want to see on the show, throw it in the Discord, throw it in the live chat now, and I'll try to make it happen. Because I take all your input very seriously, and then I actually try to implement it into the show. I do my best to do so. My Holy King, Connor, who's your favorite player on the Jets? Garrett Wilson. You can see I have right over here. So this signed helmet is from Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. Signed helmet from Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall. This one's just Garrett Wilson, and that's a Garrett Wilson signed football. Garrett Wilson's my favorite player on the Jets. Is there? And then up there, there's Garrett Wilson mini helmet up there as well. Garrett Wilson's my favorite player on the Jets by far for me. I'd say second place. Probably Quincy Williams. Great guy. Follows me on Instagram. Met him at a few games. Love Quincy Williams. And he's a great player, too, overall. That's where I am. Those are my favorite players on the Jets. I think that's a great note to end on. Join the Discord. Exclusive channel updates, much more. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel completely free. Helps us grow so much. Thanks for all the support today. Thanks for all the gifted memberships. All those raffle tickets will be added up later. Over 2 hours here on this Saturday afternoon. We'll be back probably tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening. I appreciate you guys tuning in here. As always, JTS, Jets, Jets, Jets.